You said that you love winning. What drives you more, the love of winning or the hate of losing?
Maybe equally, maybe both. I don't like losing, and I do like winning.
Say his name and he appears.
This is a friendship that'll never ever end.
Greetings and welcome to Winning 2024. How's everybody doing this afternoon, evening-ish time? New time, Friday edition. How's it going? We got lots to cover today. Rig Watch is just going crazy. We got some border crisis news, and everybody is wondering about the big question, which is when will the Joe Rogan, Donald Trump interview air? And we're going to keep our eyes on it because I still don't know myself. I'm still looking. So I'm hoping my crowd will come on in here and help me figure it out. And if you haven't noticed yet, I've got a StreamYard has updated. So I'm going with this round kind of like configuration here for the big screen. Hope you guys like it. Let me know what you think. If you want the old one back, I'm happy to oblige. But first, let me thank each and every one of the YouTube members that are out there supporting the channel on a monthly basis. You guys make it happen. Thank you so much for all that you do. And a special thanks to Shelly Ann Wolfram, who support us over on Rumble, as well as reoccurring monthly subscribers. You guys rock the house. And we are broadcasting, of course, live on Rumble, X, and YouTube. And we are off and running. Let me see. Did I have this going? Did I get this? Yeah, I did. I guess I did. There we go. Just a reminder, Line in the Sand documentary is still available on YouTube and X. And also we have the bonus just documentary only link out on BitChute. That those are still gaining traction on all the platforms. It's out there. It's a good thing. Like I said yesterday, I went to the Duluth rally and nobody there had heard of it. So we're doing good work here, people. We're helping people. We're helping others see this documentary. It's so important. And it is an instant red pill. As many people who came and watched it with me when it was live, we did the live, can attest to. Many people said, maybe winning's hyping this up too much. But the truth is, it's really that powerful. It hits all the marks. So make sure you continuously, you keep sharing it out. You keep sending it to people as you think of it. Pick which one works best for them. It might be the X link. It might be the YouTube link with the bonus documentary by Muckraker, the U.S. southern border invasion one, where they take the trip from Ecuador all the way up to the southern border, and they show all of the NGOs and the UN and all their dirty little people that are involved in helping this invasion of our country take place. But there's also the BitChute link, which is just the documentary. You can skip all the stream, all the intro, all the me in there, and just give them the documentary. That works for some people as well. You might not want to sit through the 3-hour live that we did. So whatever works for you, you do it. Well, that's coming up. Latin A, how you doing? Yeah, there's a whistleblower. That's going to come up on our border crisis segment here later on. There is a $347 million government contract to traffic children that James O'Keefe has uncovered thanks to a whistleblower who was working in that area. We're going to watch that together. So good to see you, Latin A. Happy that you're here. Glad you caught the show at this new time here. And I'm going early today just to kind of deal out the time frame, see who can come and who can make it, and maybe we get some new people to come in as well. However, the reason why I'm switching up the time frame here is to work better into a better flow. Maybe gain some more people that can come see the show earlier. Also to back up to Gary Franchi, Next News Network. His broadcast usually starts around 9:15. So I'll be doing my show a little bit earlier, depending on how much I have. I'll start at 6 or 7 or something like that. Depends. And but probably right at about 6:15 or something like that. Somewhere in that area. I'm still trying to work it out the details. But Gary Francia, Next News Network, will be on the show next Tuesday night. Now he's going to do his show, and then he's going to come on right after his show. So we'll be starting about normal time, maybe a little bit later that night. I know it's kind of confusing, but we're going to do that. And so he's going to come right over, and he's going to redirect his crowd over here. So it should be a packed house, and we're going to talk about past, present, future. And I have a great little presentation built up for that right before he gets here. I'll help explain who he is and what he's all about. Him and I both go way back to the Ron Paul days. He has been fighting for liberty and freedom in this country for a very long time, much longer than I have. And he knows the ins and outs of this world very well. He also is a prodigy of Aaron Russo. So you may remember Aaron Russo, the late great film producer, who put out America, Freedom to Fascism, which was our very first documentary we watched here for Old School Watch Party Sundays. It was a Labor Day special, and from that Labor Day special, the Old School Watch Party Sundays was born. The idea of doing that show was born, and thanks to the crowd who really enjoyed it. But Gary was working with Aaron Russo, and that's where he got his start, and that's where Ron Paul really got pushed out into the mainstream of all the alternative narrative, and people started to learn about Ron Paul. A lot of news going on today about Ron Paul, Aaron Russo, and Donald Trump, and in alignment with the fact that we may be looking at zero income tax, y'all. Zero income tax. That's right. Donald Trump, he hadn't let it fly yet, but we knew he was working on something. Yes, it's out today. A lot of people are talking about it. There's a way forward in this world back to constitutional, the constitutional way, the way that we're supposed to be set up. But we're not supposed to be taxed on our labor the way that we're taxed. Everything revolves around this income tax that that's holding us down, that keeps us poor, that keeps us struggling, keeps us in fear, and keeps our government spending all kinds of ridiculous amounts of money and laundering it much back to themselves. However, there's a way forward without it, and Donald Trump is starting to reveal a plan that may just work. So that's very exciting news, and I'm going to go more into that on Tuesday. I'm gonna let it marinate for a minute, but I'm gonna let it go more into that on Tuesday with the Gary Franchi presentation. He did a great job on it. I'll comment on it. He put a video out today about it, and we will talk in detail about that with clips from America, Freedom to Fascism, and Ron Paul and Gary Franchi. It's going to be phenomenal, guys. It's all about liberty. It's all about freedom. It's all about constitutionality. That's what we're here. Let me say hello to the awesome crowd that's here right now. Wolfram, my friend, how you doing? Good afternoon, good evening. Wolfram, thank you for dropping these links. And remember to always listen to the wolf. He knows what he's talking about. He wipes his paws, lopes in house, and he is here. And there is that BitChute link to just a documentary of Line in the Sand. If you just want to watch that documentary, it's right there for you. It's waiting. All you have to do is hit play and it starts. I need to pin this in the chat. I'm going to pin it in the chat right now. I'm also going to pin the links to the YouTube live stream, which has the bonus content in it, and as well as the X link. So there that is too. So that's how we're doing it right now. Welcome to all the awesome people out on X. If you haven't noticed, our numbers have shot up on X. We are now over 1,000. We're up to 1,113 right now. Welcome to all the new patriots that have followed the channel. Thank you so much for supporting the channel, for supporting the truth, supporting the base takes that Winning Reality will give you. It's all about a bigger and brighter future for all of us. And we are going to do this together. So thank you guys so much for being part of it. And let me go ahead and grab that link here too. And so those links to Rumble and X will be in the descriptions, but they will not be pinned in the chat for now. All right, there we go. Let me say hello to the rest of the gang here. I said hello to Latin A. Good to see you, Latin A, out in California. Keeping it free out there, trying to get people to come to their senses. Cool Gamer, what's up, my friend? How you doing? So happy that you're here. Thank you again for supporting the channel like you do. My good friend, Cool Gamer. What is new? What is new? So here we are, afternoon edition. It's a new time, so I expect it to be intermittent. So maybe people will find us. So hopefully they got the notifications, and hopefully they will be popping in. There's Lex. Lex, hey everyone listening with stuff to do work. Yep, that's great, man. We're here for you, Lex. We appreciate you being here. We'll be right here, and I'll be dropping all the news for you here in just a minute as we get wound up to go. This is an interesting time to be on air. But it's a good time. It's Friday, and I'm free for the weekend, so let's just do this thing. I'm so itching to play that. I plan to end the IRS forever segment, but I gotta hang on to it for just a minute because it's going to back up to something else. But yeah, it's good news. And basically, what it is it going back to the way we're supposed to do things, like prior to the Federal Reserve Act, right? And with a new take on it, right? That we can actually sustain our country without income tax. And that really we shouldn't have income tax. It's unconstitutional. Yet they've managed to wiggle it in. They've managed to wiggle it in with the central bank, which we shouldn't have either. The founders did not want us to have a central bank. It's a pillar of communism, by the way, as well. It is a central bank and income tax. So these are things we have to get rid of. We have to start dismantling the subversion of our country. And these are things that I'm super excited about because I've been talking about and wishing for and wanting and working with people like Gary Franchi and other people that were part of the Ron Paul revolution, right? We had two goals. That's two things that we wanted. We got one of them done eventually. And now seeing this other one come to fruition is very exciting. That was to end the Fed. If you guys remember that, that's where it came from. End the Fed came from the Ron Paul revolution, right? But also to call out and destroy the false left-right paradigm. These were the days back when the neocons were in control of the GOP. They are no longer in control of the GOP. That's what Donald Trump was able to do for us. The very first greatest thing he did was destroy the false left-right paradigm. And as you can see, all the neocons and rhinos went scurrying back over to where the establishment was left. And they're back over there on the left. And, we get RFK and Tulsi Gabbard, and they get Dick Cheney and Liz Cheney, right? They get all the neocons. They got to, we got to get rid of Mitt Romney, get him out of here. He's just a rhino sitting there rotting away, stinking up the place. The Bushes are already back over there supporting Kamala. All the old neocons are over there. The Lincoln Project, all those fake Republicans that created this illusion of choice that we were all born into. And then brainwashed a generation, really programmed a generation to believe that the Republicans were something they weren't. Playing the heels in their little WWE theatrical politic game, right? Where they were controlling everything and slowly dismantling the country and turning us into something that we were never meant to be. And we have an opportunity right now coming up here on November 5th. We're already working towards it to take our country back and to stop this for good. And now Trump has assembled the Avengers, the super team that wouldn't have been possible if they didn't cheat in 2020. We gotta say, one thing that Ben Carlson said at the Duluth rally was, he told a story about how he had flown. He's a surgeon, and what he does is he separates conjoined twins, right? And he had flown over to do this operation. After successfully doing one, went over to do another one and separated the children. But unfortunately, when he went in there to do this operation, one of them's heart was failing. Their side was failing because the other one was doing all the work, and basically the other heart had failed, right? So only one could survive. But once they separated them, the twin that survived was doing pretty good. But then all of a sudden, that twin passed away because the kidney failed, because the other one was taking care of the kidney. And he was saying, Lord, why did you send me here to fail? I don't understand why. Anybody could have gone to fail. Why did you need me to do it? Well, it turns out a couple of years later, he went to go separate another set of twins. And because of the team he had assembled and the things that he had learned, he was able to save those twins' lives. So sometimes there's blessings in disguise, and failures become successes down the road. You got to have that inner faith that says, no matter what's happening, right or wrong, good or bad right now, it's going to turn out for the best reason. It's going to happen in the long run for the best reason. We can't always see down the road the way that we wish we could. And some of our failures become our greatest accomplishments down the road. So keep that in mind. And now we see this great team and all these people that are waking up to the corruption and the subversion and the lies in the mainstream media and the corruption in our government and all the blacks and Hispanics and everybody else are waking up. They're understanding the border crisis better. They're understanding the threat the establishment plays on us. Did I download the new thing yet? I think I did. Yeah, I got to get that out here. Yes, all the way. Let me look at the crowd here as I'm sitting here getting everything ready. So how will no income tax get rid of what you did say? What did you say? How will, like I said, like I'm going to go over that all next week, but generally what's going to go on, it's just about tariffs. It's just about like using the tariff system, right? That's what we're supposed to do. I don't want to get into too many details about it because I'd rather have the report in front of me and comment on it as I go. Because this is really just breaking news right now. This is something that's coming out today, but man, it's going to be something else. I mean, us Ron Paul people, I can tell you about this. We've known for a long time that the whole income tax and Federal Reserve thing's a giant racket, and we've been barking about that for decades now, trying to get people to understand this. In fact, most people today know that the Federal Reserve is a private banking cartel because of the Ron Paul revolution, because of Ron Paul, because of the people that were backing him up back in the day and talking about it. Most people thought it was part of the government. They thought it was a legitimate part of the government, that our government was the Federal Reserve, our government, because they put the word federal in it to fool us, right? That's what they did. So no, it's a private banking cartel. Some of the most notable banks are part of it. In fact, there was a time way back when I did tech work for a what's called secondary bank, without going into too much detail, say a bank for banks, okay? And every day I saw the transactions that were going from banks to the Fed. Like literally saw all the money that was going in. It has to be in at a certain time. I was in I worked at the high level network level at that time, and I was watching all those transactions, all those ACH transactions going through on a daily basis. Yeah, they actually have banks for banks, and those are one step under the Federal Reserve. So all that money transfers through them and then transfers into the Federal Reserve every day, and it's all a giant racket because for every dollar they print, there's interest attached to it. So you never, ever get away from the central bank. And then when we borrow, we go into debt. This is where all this debt comes from, all this spending. The more we spend, the more we print, the more we're in debt, right? That devalues our dollars. That's the whole thing. So there's a way to run our country without income tax. And I know that a lot of people have been conditioned to think this for so long, that we have to have income tax, but there was a time when we didn't. In fact, it was one of the most prosperous times in our country's history. We didn't have income tax. We don't need it. And now the conversation is going to start coming about again. In fact, when Donald Trump was in office in 2016, the first run, usually the president tries to get the geopolitical picture in line, right? And for Trump, it was bringing peace. It was stopping wars. It was trying to get things settled and make deals with people and get along with people, right? But the second term usually turns more social. And we always felt like the second term was going to be the one where he actually was going to start to implement those changes that would do away with the things like the IRS and the Department of Education. And, because he was going for school choice. These are his plans. Everything he was going to do in 2020, he's now going to do in 2024, but even greater, even bigger. Like the loss he took in 2020 has made him a new person and has revamped him. The Trump 2.0 we wanted is here, and we couldn't have asked for a better team around him. Like, we have no questions now. Last time he didn't know what he was doing so much. He was kind of optimistic about things, and there were a bunch of bad actors around him that were messing him up all the way down the line. We're going to see a Trump like we've never seen before in 2024. I hope you guys are excited. I am very excited. Yeah. Big Carlson. Yeah. Big Carlson is so awesome. Yeah, he's amazing. I got to see him in Duluth, Georgia recently. His speech was amazing. The crowd loves him, and it's good stuff. Good read is Gifted Hands by Ben Carlson story. Also great movie. Maybe we should watch the movie one time. Maybe that's a good. You always come with good suggestions, Ellie. Thank you so much for that. So income tax, vehicle tax, property tax. Oh yeah, I wanted to get these things reminding me. You guys keep helping me out here. I gotta remember to add this new. I hope this is it. Did I download it? Let me check the make sure I downloaded these. I made a couple new videos. Download. Yeah, give me 1 second. Actually, let me just get something up on screen and then I'll do that. I can wait. Save that. Okay. I can wait. One thing I don't want to do is be quiet because it's only me here. Memento, what's up, my friend? Great to see you. Thanks for being here for the evening edition. So let's get on about it. So much to talk about with Rig Watch right now. There's a news conference. There's all kinds of reports going on about ballot tampering. By the way, we are on Rogan Watch. If anybody knows when or has heard anything about when the interview with Trump is supposed to drop, please let me know. I'm trying to keep an eye out. I got Spotify right here, but I'm not feeling too confident about Spotify letting me know anything. I keep refreshing and refreshing. All I get is a Sam Tripoli freaking clip from today or whatever. I have a feeling we're not going to be able to see it until Monday, but I don't know. Winning Virginia is in a pissing contest with the federal government about illegals voting as of today. Last I heard was that the governor was fighting it tooth and nail. So we'll take a look at that. I got a bunch of stuff from X2 to look at. Maybe that's in there. Orlando, Florida, massive numbers, swing states. Just see. Major voter restriction fraud operation uncovered in Pennsylvania. See, man, we're ready this time. This is what I want to see. This is what I want to see. But if you guys have anything on that I need to show, let me know. I tell you what, I only have that one thing for the border crisis tonight that I posted in the subject line. So maybe we'll start with that. And just a reminder, Graham, what's up, man? How you doing? Good to see you, my friend. I saw a Twitter loss where Trump is ahead of Kamala in New Hampshire. A Twitter post. Awesome. Let's go. I don't know. I don't know who put it out. It's going to be the Supreme Court on emergency. Awesome, Ellie. Awesome. See, man, this is exciting. We got people ready. They're not going to do it this time. We're going to keep beating them back. We know their game. That's the thing, is every time we make inroads, right? They show us their hand. They keep showing us their hand. They only have so many plays they can make, right? And every time they do, they show us a little bit more and we learn a little bit more because, they're generations ahead of us on this. They've been generations ahead of us for a while. And so now we're catching up at lightning speed because they have to keep playing their hands, right? We know nobody wants to listen to no Russia collusion hoax no more, right? They did all that. They did all that. Hey, Heidi, how you doing? Welcome. They did all that stuff, right? So we know that that's one of their games, right? And I had a feeling they would do that if Ron Paul had gotten into, they were going to pull some kind of shit like that. So yeah, they played that. We saw what they did when the people decided that these are better times with a real president. And so they did the whole thing with the polls and the ballot harvesting and the rigging of the rules and all that stuff. We've got them now. They had 4 years to destroy the country, to open the border up. Man, if you haven't, I was going to ask you, Grim, have you seen Line in the Sand yet? Grab the link. It's right there in the description. And it's in the description of this video. And it's also pinned in the chat. Grab the link, watch it. If you don't want to listen to the 3-hour stream I did, you can just go straight to BitChute and watch the documentary. We're getting people to watch this documentary. I'm telling you, not enough people have seen this, but it's an instant red pill even for people who are like, well, I'm not going to vote because I got, it's just like, dude, if you watch Line in the Sand and you still don't think you need to vote for Trump to help stop this one problem to save your own ass, you're an idiot. I don't know what to tell people. It's literally even if it's not just to save your own ass, maybe it's all the children that are being impacted by this. They're literally using these people. I've been going on and off about this for a week. So you guys know where the links are. You know what I have to say about it. I don't want to go off for another 10 minutes about it because I will. I will. I'm very passionate about this. But anyways, I just don't get it. I don't get it. People who think that they shouldn't be in the fight. They're just helping the establishment. And, you're not doing anyone any good, especially yourself, if you help the establishment. So you want to be that way, go be that way, but you're not virtuous. I mean, you're not doing anything virtuous. You're really just spinning a knee to the establishment. That's my opinion. Take it or leave it. That's how I feel about it. And I don't see any way how that's not true. So I tell you what we're going to do. So I can get a few more things in order. I'm going to go ahead and start with the border crisis segment tonight. James O'Keefe Media, awesome dude, the guy who did Line in the Sand. Speaking of awesome things, right? Risked his life to this. Had a whistleblower come out and said that her Line in the Sand, inspired by this movie, decided to come forward and expose a $347 million contract for transporting unaccompanied minors. Like I said, when you watch this movie, Line in the Sand, you will understand that this whole border crisis isn't just about replacing voters, replacing our country, collapsing our country, creating the conditions for a citizen versus non-citizen civil war, putting crime on our streets everywhere, letting criminals enter our country. It's not just that. There's a whole money racket going on underneath of it. So take your pick. It's a multi-pronged attack, right? It's making the worst amongst us richer, right, at the expense of the most vulnerable amongst us on this planet, right, in this country. It's creating destabilization and crisis in our country, which allows them to normalize their agenda, and their agenda is a dystopic future of stakeholder capitalism and complete control through a technocracy. We talked about this so much, right? But let's go ahead and listen to this, and then I will get back to you, and we'll go on Rig Watch right after this. But I want you guys to see this right now. Here it is. Breaking. Federal government whistleblower exposes $347 million contract for transporting unaccompanied minors.
My line in the sand moment was when I found out that GSA had awarded a contract to a company to transport unaccompanied minors.
What was that like for you?
It was like someone kicked me in my gut. Once I found out about the contract, after that night, I got on my computer and I started doing a Google search.
Action obligation 40 million, total contract value 347 million. But that's over $250 million. That's a lot of money to transport unaccompanied children. I mean, this is a big money business.
And that's why we're sitting here today, because as I shared before, what you know, you cannot unknow.
The crisis of conscience would only grow and reach inside the holy grail of the unaccompanied child transportation business. There's the white buses right there. That's the FedEx transportation hub for the unaccompanied minor children. They stop the transportation of children, they stop the money.
My name is Clarissa Rippey.
Mm-hmm. And where do you work?
I work for General Services Administration, aka GSA.
And for those who are not familiar with what GSA is or what it does, can you talk a little about that?
GSA, it basically manages all the services for the federal government. Then you have the transportation side of GSA that manages like travel, transportation, and logistics, that's the area that I'm working in right now.
And what sort of thing do you do in that department?
I'm what's called an 1102. I'm a contract specialist, and my responsibility is to work with contractors that provide products and services to the federal government. And I work on a team of contracting officers, and we award those contracts.
NGO stands for non-governmental organization. But in addressing political and social issues, they receive money from the government. These groups get large amounts of money. The more immigrants they represent, the more money they receive.
Follow it? Well, the film Line in the Sand, we saw so many of these companies. People were amazed and shocked to see just how many busing companies and making so much money off of the crisis. Were you aware of some of those names of those companies in the film? Or
Not originally. Then I came over to TTL and became aware that that GSA had awarded a contract for the transportation services.
what was your line in the sand moment here in this situation?
My line in the sand moment was when I found out that GSA had awarded a contract to a company to transport unaccompanied minors.
So you found this out, and then you had this line in the sand moment. What was that like for you?
It was like someone kicked me in my gut because I had just gotten a promotion, accepted the position for that particular division, and I was not aware at all that the agency that I worked for was party to transporting unaccompanied minors. Once I found out about the contract that night, I got on my computer and I started doing a Google search, and I did keyword searches. I did transport unaccompanied minors. I put in transport of immigrant children, and all of these websites popped up, and it led back to some of these NGOs and these companies, like Acuity, which was the original awardee of the contract. And then MVM protested that award, and the contract wound up back with MVM.
Within the last 9 months, MVM has received over $129 million from the Department of Homeland Security, $719 million from DHS overall.
But as I continued to read the documents that I found online, I found out these are the illegal immigrants, minors who were coming over without their parents, without anyone that they knew, being shipped at every hour of the day, especially like late at night when we're all asleep in our beds and our children are safe at home. These children were being shipped all over the place.
Shipped over, and that must have made you feel guilty.
Yeah.
For having this promotion.
Mm-hmm.
And that was your line in the sand moment. And we also have some documents here that we've been provided by you. Just tell me what this one here indicates.
This is a GSA contract that was awarded to MVM.
And so it says here in this document that action obligation 40 million, base and all option, total contract value 347 million. That's over $250 million. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of money to transport unaccompanied children. I mean, this is a big money business. It just seems like lost in all of this is any semblance of right and wrong. It's just a lot of people in line, who watched Line in the Sand. The takeaway is it's all about money, and there's no regard for children or human beings.
Evidently, it's been very effective.
Very effective.
They have noted that they wanted the contractor to transport 1,000 children within a 24-hour period of notification. 1,000 children.
Why do they want that?
Exactly. That was my question. Why 1,000 every time within a 24-hour period?
Sounds like a quota or something to justify the contracts. It's almost like they treat these children like widgets or products. Like a
commodity.
Commodity. Exactly. Like potato chips on the back of a transport vehicle. You don't see, I don't see a lot of federal employees sitting down to speak about this. What led you to be here?
Now that I'm privy to this information, I can't forget about it. I can't just say, I'm just going to wipe my brain clean. It never happened.
But most people do.
Yes.
So why is that?
And I'm guilty of that too. You hear someone will share information with you and you just like, no, I just want my quiet life. I don't want to be involved. I just don't want all the drama. I just want to live my peaceful life and just
go through the comforts of life.
Yeah, the comforts of life.
Eric Cochran, my former whistleblower friend, he said people just want to go through the comforts of
life. Right.
And a lot of people are going to wonder, are you afraid of, first of all, you're doing nothing wrong. You're just speaking the truth. Nothing that you've said here is improper in any way or illegal in any way. If anything, you're just being honest about the way it is. But you know how these people can be and how these government agencies can be. Are you concerned about retaliation?
No, and I'll tell you why.
Lord, what they
Yes,
are doing is your mission. This is what you have placed us here for, this very moment.
This is what the Lord has placed in my heart to do. And people can try and do whatever they want to do to me, but they're not fighting me. They're fighting God. This is about the children.
We got an unaccompanied minor right here, guys. This is heartbreaking right here. ¿Vienes sola, verdad?
If
Ahí viene tu mami, tu papá.
over 250,000 American-born children were missing, it would be spoken about in every Starbucks, coffee shop, in every restaurant, everywhere you walk, someone will be talking about, did you hear about 380,000+ children missing in the United States right now? People would be talking about, but because these are children from other countries, no names, no faces attached to them. People go to sleep, they lay their heads down every night, and they wake up oblivious to the fact that some mother, some father, some grandparent is missing their baby.
I don't think people know about it.
Right.
When you were at the premiere in Newport Beach of the film Line in the Sand, tell me about that experience for you. I have some breaking news for you here this evening. Working for GSA, she became aware of contracts for the transportation of unaccompanied children. I recognize this is very emotional. Come on up.
It was like a second kick in the gut.
We're all in this
but it
together.
had faces this time. It wasn't a contract, words on a sheet of paper. It was actual faces.
¿Viniste sola? ¿Cuántos años tienes? 10. 10 años. ¿De dónde vienes?
De Honduras.
¿De Honduras? ¿Cuánto tiempo llevas viajando, mi reina?
All that said, you know the saying that you don't know what you don't know, right? Well, see, now you do know, and you cannot unknow what you know now.
I know you're just trying to do your job. That's tough.
Yeah, it's not easy. So.
Yeah.
Especially when you have a little 3-year-old girl walk up to you.
3-year-old girls?
It's not easy.
Last week I had a 3-year-old come up, and all he had was a paper sewed into his shirt. Address and phone number were wrong. As a parent, I don't like seeing that. It makes me get closer to my kids.
My buddy said there was an unaccompanied child that you guys just picked up.
Yeah, we got a few, like 3 that we had earlier.
Traffic?
Yeah, they're gone already.
The last thing I want to say is there's another saying. It takes a village to raise a child. No, not true. It takes a village to protect a child. We have to protect our children. And the only reason why I'm here is because that's my duty now. I cannot unknow what I know now. You're a hero.
If you support Border Patrol agents like Zach, please support us at Citizen Journalism Foundation. We provide funding to help these brave whistleblowers and legal defense funds. Here is the information for Citizen Journalism Foundation, and stay tuned for the movie Line in the Sand, premiering October 10th on the Tucker Carlson Network.
And of course, we broke the paywall because this is too important to be behind one. And that's why that was my line in the sand on this. People need to see this right now before they vote, because this wakes you up to so much, including everything we just saw, but also how much the Biden-Harris administration has done to promote and enable this crisis, right? How much they have lied to each and every person in the world about this, right? For their own greedy purposes, right? How much they have, the mainstream media has backed them up and lied. People that are asleep behind the first veil, they got TDS, they're locked into the establishment narrative. They see a film like Line in the Sand, they're going to wake up. I'm going to show you another quick clip from another hero about the Darien Gap and about how the UN is enabling this. This is from Muckraker. Anthony was part of the documentary Line in the Sand. He helped James O'Keefe make this movie. He was his guide. He has been on this trek many times now from his first trek, and I think it's important. It's just a quick little 8 minutes here, and this will add a little bit more context to anybody who hasn't known this aspect of it yet. Because when you combine the Muckraker documentary with the Line in the Sand documentary, you get the full picture of what's going on. I mean, that's why I like to back these two up together. And if you grab that clip, that link to the YouTube stream or the X stream, you'll be able to see both back to back, right? But Muckraker, you can go to their YouTube page and watch it. It has not been seen enough. It's under 150,000 views. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, everybody should know this information.
More than 6 million illegal immigrants have been apprehended at the southern border. That is more than the populations of 30 American states, and more than the combined populations of Wyoming, Alaska, North Dakota, South Dakota, Idaho, and Montana combined.
Let that sink in. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. These populations right here, that's how many people have come across our southern border, right, to this date. And this was done, I think this was done a little while back even. So there's probably even more now. Right? Think about that. That's an invading army. Although all of them aren't going to be soldiers and criminals. We know that, right? Oh yeah, there's Alaska too, right there. All this, right? But let that sink in. What if it continues? What if it keeps going? What's it going to be then? It's going to take up more and more and more. And they're putting them everywhere. They're shipping them to all these different places all over our country. And then they're bringing in other people. They're flying them in from Haiti and other places, right? There's people that are flying up to the richer ones. The people with more money are flying up to the Canadian border and coming in right through here, right? Dude, this is for real. This is really happening. This is the biggest crisis that we face. And there's only one person in this election that's going to do something about this, Donald Trump. That's why I'm saying I don't care if you're an anarchist or got some kind of big, chip on your shoulder because you're a leftist or whatever. You need to vote to stop this, right? Just vote to stop this. Vote for these children, to save these children's lives that are being trafficked for billions of dollars, right? And that's just one set of contracts that lady was talking about. There's so much more. And there's so much more. When you watch Line in the Sand, you'll see how much money is being flown to these NGOs. There's dozens and dozens and dozens of NGOs that are well-funded. The money's coming from somewhere, right? Well-funded to participate in this racket. Let's continue.
This investigation by muckraker.com proves that the collapse of the United States southern border is the result of deliberate planning by government and non-government entities.
Boom.
This story takes place inside the Darien Gap, the artery connecting North and South America, where the mass migration pipeline to the United States begins. To put it simply, migrants who cannot fly into any North American country first fly into South America, most frequently Quito, Ecuador, due to its easy entry requirements. From Ecuador, the migrants cross into Colombia and then trek across the Darien Gap, a lawless section of jungle where migrants are frequently raped, robbed, or killed. Those who make it across the jungle find themselves in Panama. This is where our story begins.
Está saliendo el bus, $40.
Right back at you, Memento.
Hola. ¿Cómo estás?
Globalist government.
Now, baby. What are you doing? Hey, babe. What's friend?
Bueno. ¿Qué país?
Colombia.
¿Colombia? ¿Todos? ¿Colombia?
No,
¿Perú?
Perú.
Pregunta muy importante. ¿Te gusta presidente Trump o presidente Biden?
Biden. En todo lo que sea, hacemos famoso.
Biden.
¿Te gusta el presidente Trump o presidente Biden? Biden.
Oh yeah, they love the corrupt establishment because they think they're gonna get all paid off. They're like, come on in. These guys, this is the people they're gonna try to get to vote right here.
Biden.
That's why you're voting. There you go. Those are the people who want to decide who the president is. There's the people that are going to replace the people, the Democratic base right there. That's the people they're counting on because they're going to pay them off to do it.
¿Qué país? ¿Todos de Venezuela? ¿Venezuela? ¿Qué país? ¿Qué país?
Venezuela.
¿Todos Venezuela? ¿Venezuela?
Venezuela.
Yeah.
Venezuela.
Immediately after migrants enter the camp, they are processed by Panamanian authorities and catered to by various international government and non-government organizations.
You hear that? So the Panamanian government's helping, and then the UN is helping. See all these UN, you're going to go through this right now.
A few on the scene include OIM, Red Cross, UNICEF, HIAS, European Union, Doctors Without Borders, UNHCR, and the Norwegian Refugee Council. All of these organizations play a role in a carefully planned mass migration pipeline. Although Panama, the rest of Central America, and Mexico offer safe havens where migrants can seek refuge, nearly all migrants will head to the United States. This is facilitated by the various groups mentioned earlier, who offer migrants aid and instructions on how to get to the United States.
Here you go. There you go. Wonder how they all get here, how they all make it. They're getting help all along the way.
Migrants receive various maps detailing exactly how to trek to the U.S. border. This map, displayed in a highest care facility, shows the migrant path across Panama and Costa Rica. In this footage, a highest worker can be seen explaining exactly how to cross Panama.
¿Cuánto es el costo de ese bus? Ese bus le va a cobrar $40. ¿Cuánto tiempo va a demorar ese bus? Ese bus demora 14 horas aproximadamente. 100 en la noche ustedes van a hacer transbordo en Ciudad de Panamá.
A more comprehensive map is distributed by the Red Cross.
Look at that.
This map not only shows...
Look at that. I mean, to put this map together cost money. Then they had to hire people and put it all together and plan it all out. This is logistic mapping right here. All the logistics. Look at all the logistics. This all costs money, right? It's all being funded. It's all part of a bigger plan to collapse our country, right? And they're using these people. They're using them. You know, this is the real humanitarian crisis, what they're doing to these people. Not that they live in these places that have been destroyed by Marxism and communism and every little bit of ism that's out there, right? That they can't get a leg up because of these toxic authoritarian ideas that have to be dealt with, and we will deal with them. But also that this globalist organization that wants to see the destruction of our country is aiding and using them to do it. This Cloward and Piven optimized, enhanced, and modernized Cloward and Piven strategy, which I've done an entire stream on.
Those multiple migration routes to the United States, but also includes rest stops across Central America and Mexico.
El tren se va hasta acá, por acá. Aquí están las vías del tren. Todas las vías del tren que están acá son las vías del tren que te llevan directo hacia Laredo.
Laredo.
A Laredo.
Do me a favor, guys. So share this stream out to people, man. I'm in a new time. People might not know that I'm on, might not have ever heard of me before. Next week we'll probably have a whole bunch of new people to meet with and get to know. Hopefully that works out. I mean, I'm really just interested in talking to Gary, but if I get new subscribers, that'd be awesome. But really help it out, because I'm doing my best. I'm working every day to get this information out, and I know that a lot of people would rather sit around and watch some kind of like drama or something like that. But this is real shit. I mean, if we don't do something about this, we're not going to have a country to sit around and watch a drama in.
Laredo.
Es la última destinación.
El último destino, Laredo o Piedras Negras.
How did you learn about this route?
Porque ya personas han pasado por acá y ya nos han indicado el destino por el destino donde tenemos que pasar. Y acá nos dieron en la Cruz Roja, nos dieron este mapa para identificar las rutas por donde nos vamos a ir.
A similar map is handed out by Médicos Sin Fronteras, also known as Doctors Without Borders. Perhaps the most striking form of this aid is a bag which we call a rape kit. It is handed out by the OIM in Colombia before migrants trek through the Darien Gap. The kit which contains condoms and morning after pills, allows migrants to get raped more safely in the jungle. Why are all these groups encouraging migrants and aiding them on this deadly journey? Why is this happening on an organized industrial scale? And why does the US border remain wide open? In September 2015, the United Nations General Assembly adopted the 2030 Agenda for
2030 agenda, the monster coming for us, man. This is what's next, guys. This is what next. This is why we have to make sure Trump wins. This is what's coming for us. These are the people that are doing it to us. Don't go looking for lizard people and Illuminatis and dark rooms or satanic cults or anything like that. This is it right here. This is it. Look at your enemy. Look at your enemy. This is your enemy. This is what's coming for you.
Sustainable development. The agenda provides a quote-unquote blueprint for peace and prosperity for people and the planet, now and into the future. At its heart are the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Agenda.
What do you see on here? Right? It all looks good on the surface, right? These are all wearing a mask of virtue. They're all very nefarious plans. None of this stuff they mean. This is how they get their agenda through, by wearing them, just like a narcissist does to abuse their victim. They wear a mask to rope them in and get them to comply, and then they take the mask off and horror ensues.
2030 outlines a blueprint for world socialism, stating that we are embarking on a collective journey to build a world free of poverty, hunger, disease, and want.
The empty promises of Marxism. Talk about it so much. We're reading a book called Big Intel by J. Michael Waller every Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern on Unrig the Game. That's the name of the show. We're reading this book right now. It's teaching us about the history of this. This guy is one of the most well-known and well-versed counterintelligence people going right now, and he is letting it all hang out, telling us the entire history of this cultural Marxism disease and their economic socialist agenda. Right? This is what it's all about. They say they promise these things, but they deliver the opposite.
In a related paper by the IOM titled Migration and the 2030 Agenda, a clear plan for mass migration of people is presented. The report begins by stating, the 2030 Agenda recognizes migration as a core development consideration, which marks the first time migration is integrated explicitly into the global development agenda.
There it is, right in front of you. Their own words, not a conspiracy theory. Not a conspiracy theory. No, 21 did not fail, though. It did not fail. It was just it was many things got through and put in place. It's parallel construction, right? And then they revamped it and they pushed it. Now they have new sets of goals, better language. More things have been passed. More things have been implemented. You think about, this came out. Agenda 21 came out in 1992 Earth Summit in Brazil. They did a whole stream on it. Open Conspiracy series playlist. Go check it out. I got it on YouTube. It explains all of this. 2021 did not fail. It is it is still going, and it's now Agenda 2030. And Gary Franchi and I and others will talk about that on Tuesday as well. But no, this agenda is very much going through. Don't you? I mean, look around. It's working pretty damn good.
And further states, quote, it is possible to link migration to every goal in the 2030 Agenda. Shockingly, the report refers to migrant men, women, and children as agents.
Hopefully we can stop it, and then it can fail.
Finally, the report states that we should not focus efforts on trying to stop migration, facilitating, not restricting. Migration is the priority. It is clear that this illegal migration is indeed being facilitated and encouraged. For example, UNICEF, also known as the United Nations Children's Fund, hands out these care packages at Panamanian migration camps. Notice the subtle messaging on the bag that reads, "Trust yourself, you can," encouraging the migrants to continue on their journey. On the back of a Red Cross map, information is given about the use of freight trains for transportation. Rather than denouncing the dangerous form of transportation, migrants are told to remain seated and look out for any branches, electrical cables, or tunnels. At San Vicente Migrant Camp, rows of brand new unused bunk beds have been installed. This is likely in anticipation of an increase in illegal migration.
You definitely have
Perhaps
an
the
opinion.
most alarming
Have facts.
aspect of the situation is the clear national security threat at hand. Many of those headed to the United States are military-aged males. There are also large
Been out this
groups
for
of
decades,
Chinese
bro.
nationals passing through these camps on a daily basis. It is possible, and indeed likely, that many of the Chinese coming to the United States are either beholden to or working for the CCP. While it is likely that many of these migrants are good people, there's no doubt that these groups serve as camouflage for spies, criminals, and other nefarious actors seeking to penetrate our borders undetected. Powerful organizations, thousands of miles away, are facilitating the collapse of the U.S. southern border. Among many consequences of this, one will be permanent political demographic change. Most of these migrants are loyal to the Democratic Party due to their immigration and open border policies. Allow this to go on for long enough, and the United States will be a country dominated by one-party rule.
Dude, you know, every time your belief system's challenged, you run. Instead of like saying, maybe I have some more to learn. Maybe there's something out there. That's a shame.
If the American people don't act soon, the United States as we know it will be gone forever.
All right, Muckraker. Great work going on there. Great
Let's jump to the
work.
story. We got this one from the New York Post.
Yeah, dude. And Agenda 21 didn't fail. I'm sorry. It did evolve into Agenda 2030. That's why they have an Agenda 2030. All the same literature, all the same things that we went through here. Let me just. I know he's probably already left, and I know he hasn't looked through this playlist, but I'm going to put it out there for everybody else. It's called Open Conspiracies playlist. It's the Open Conspiracies program I did. Where is it at? I got a lot of playlists, guys. A lot of work have gone into putting this together. Oh, there's my Agenda 2030. Let's see if it talks about this right here. Yeah, here. You want me to show you? Let's just go ahead and look at this real quick. We got time. So we're talking about, we're going down this vein. We're going to get to Rig Watch here in a little while. But here you go. Let me just pull this up. He explains it, but I'll give you the whole Open Conspiracies thing too. Let me see. I don't want to go through the entire thing.
Well, that is the true globalist agenda. And if you own nothing and I own nothing, but we rent, who owns what we rent? The people we now call the elites. They are the highest echelons of government bureaucracy.
Kiddo, dude, I'm in my 50s. How old are you again? Look, man, you can have your opinion, but keep an open mind. Keep an open mind. That's all I'm asking you to do. What's up, Herman? Hey, Herman, what's up, dude? And I got the mic, so I'm talking at everybody. I don't know what you're talking about, bro. But you know, you always say something and then you bring nothing. You never have anything to say. Like, okay, you know, I've just noticed that. You know, you say, okay, I got some information. I know, and then you never produce anything. I'm not going to get into an argument with you about certain shit. I have information. You're free to look at it. If you want to believe Agenda 21 failed, go ahead. Do you believe Agenda 2030 is still in action? Then we agree on something. Let's just focus on that. How about that?
There are the elected officials, the CEOs and board members of global corporations, and big money financiers funding the entire operation. But getting you and I to own nothing and be happy about it, well, that's a process. I mean, how do you go from a country that owns almost everything as individuals to owning nothing? Well, it says right here, our last chance. And now at glennbeck.com. This plan covered everything. National Monetary Fund and the World Trade Organization. The global financial
This is where he explains what happened to Agenda 21, by the way.
leap at the end.
want to
They
see
sought to govern global decision making. We've been on this road to global governance for a very long
Here we go,
time.
right here.
But
Check it
they've had
out.
to overhaul it multiple times in
You hear this? Listen to what he's going to say right here.
massive ways. The biggest problem by far is how to make the private sector jive with the global institutions that want to call all of the shots. How do you do that? Well, guess what? They finally figured it out. But it has been a process over half a century in the making, and we are now in the end game. Global governance took a huge leap at the end of World War II through institutions like the United Nations. The UN, let me show you this. The UN really wanted control. They sought to govern global decision makings. They leveraged multiple partner organizations over the years. Do you remember my last chalkboard? The playbook for full control relies on these three things. What are they? Limiting national sovereignty, seizing the means of production on food, water, shelter, and energy, and full control of money and commerce. Okay. So it was in the 1940s, they came up with the UN. And the United Nations worked in tandem with new organizations like the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund, and the World Trade Organization. The global financial system turned completely upside down, and that included trade laws between the most powerful nations in the world. But they still had a pesky problem. That national sovereignty thing kept getting in the way. Nations were just setting their ships out to sail on their own navigational charts. That had to change. Well, the answer came in 1992. With the UN's Agenda 21. This set the standard for international governance cloaked in guidelines. They were called the 17 Sustainable Development Goals.
Wow,
I have the full plan up right now at glennbeck.com. This plan covered everything, including how nations should handle poverty, business, the environment, education, housing, and health. This was the global government creep in every aspect of our societies all over the West. In 2015, it was clear that the world wasn't going to spin off its axis by 2021, and we had exposed much of this, and they didn't like the sunlight at the time. So the UN revised this plan and rebranded it from Agenda 21 to Agenda 2030.
Exactly. You see? It's still there. It's still going on. And these SDGs were put in place because we've been hearing about sustainable development for how long? So this guy, you know, they did, like Alex Jones will even tell you they got most of this done, right? I mean, people that have been following the globalist agenda since way back when it came out, and nobody seemed to be worried about it. I know because I was out there talking about Agenda 21, no one was listening. So I understand the frustration behind trying to get people to realize we could have stopped this a long time ago, but it's still happening, man. It's still happening. So I maybe you call that a fail, but I don't call that a fail. It's just that's the way they work. Right? They're always optimizing and adjusting. It's a fluid plan. It's not like say, okay, it failed. Let's just throw it away. I wish they would. It'd make life a lot easier. Right? Let's continue.
But it was all the same bureaucratic global bullcrap. It was nothing less than a full-on assault of national sovereignty. It now had half a century of influence from their main levers of power through the World Bank, the IMF, and the WTO. This time, it was being sold as a method to bring forth universal peace and larger freedom. Wow, that sounds great. One thing they didn't mention was the seizing of the means of production. Yeah, they didn't mention that thing. Controlling finance and trade, but peace and freedom, I mean, that is a pretty good sales pitch, I guess. But global government was smarter this time around. Agenda 21 failed in large part because it never addressed how to marry global institutions to private organizations. The only way to direct and seize the means of production was by somehow codifying the entire relationship. So the solution, it was this. In 2015, it was the Paris Accords. Do you remember when Donald Trump, when he pulled us out, they were adamant about this. This is the worst disaster for everybody. And we all looked at the Paris Agreement. We're like, what is the big deal? The deal was, it was the bridge between the global institutions and big finance banks and the biggest corporations of the world. It was the bridge from the public sector to the private sector. Now they could become one. The directives mandated by Agenda 2030 had no teeth unless they were backed by money, both the promise of financial incentive and the threat of financial ruin if a company stepped out of line. Do you remember when they, for the very first time, all the businesses got together and they said, we're boycotting Russia. McDonald's said they're not going to boycott Russia. 4 days later, all of a sudden, they boycotted Russia. And they left behind every hamburger patty and every, clown and every neon sign that was in Russia. They walked away from it. Is McDonald's that righteous? See, secret meetings were held at the Paris Accord that included some of the largest financial juggernauts all over the globe. An enforcement plan was drafted called the Partnership for Carbon Accounting Financials. Wow, that's the P Partnership for Carbon Financials. Okay, this was the blueprint to give. What we now know is things like DEI and ESG. It gave them teeth, actual teeth. As per their website, this blueprint was brought to the United States by the largest trade union owned by the Bank of America, and that was SEIU. Yes, the famed labor organization. They have the amalgamated bank. Now, through this new financial bargain, there was now a link from global institutions directly to banks and then to corporations. That's the teeth. The bridge was facilitated by a private organization that had been active for a very, very long time. I can't believe I'm actually going to the Bilderberg Group, but I am. There's not a whole lot that is actually public about what they do, but we do know that they were the WEF, the World Economic Forum, for 2 decades before. Yep. Okay, they were not too far behind the UN in being founded right after the World War II.
Yeah. You think of that UN as the government arm and the Bilderberg into the WEF now as the private arm. So they worked in conjunction together.
They operated and still do very similarly to the WEF, but a little more secret. Their attendees meet every year and include the most powerful people in finance, politics, and business. I also will have this at glennbeck.com. Now, this is a list of the Bilderberg attendees at their annual meeting last year. It's almost the exact attendee list at the annual World Economic Forum. And there are the other group that has now been married to global governance institutions, the WEF, this group, all married on the bridge of the Paris Accord of 2015. This is the evolution of global government. It is also how the UN plans, like Agenda 21 and Agenda 2030, become actionable. In fact, they become codified. You have to do it or you're punished. It's how corporations like Harley-Davidson are now facing a boycott by their angry fan base for mysteriously turning their company woke. It's all been part of the plan. It's why Coke has betrayed its own values and country. It's why all of them have. This entire structure, this is what's transforming our nation, but it's nations all over the world. They are pulling the strings.
The point of a detention center is to put people in a place where you can try and figure out who they are, if they're a danger, a criminal, a terrorist, all the propaganda, all the BS. Kamala Harris said that she would get rid of detention centers on day one. She said she would defund ICE. She wanted to defund the police. State police, local police are really the only ones who are filling the gap because the Biden administration has yanked the chain on the Border Patrol. So the whole thing is set up for the invasion. Revolution by immigration. For years, I've been telling you why the border is open. Because they want to replace the majority in this country. That is, they want the borders open so foreigners can come into the country. They'll eventually legalize them, eventually give them citizenship. They'll just change the whole demographics, or they'll just change the people who they claim to represent. So those people will vote for them and do as they wish. I call this, and I will coin the phrase, revolution by immigration. Mm-hmm. We're not in the middle of revolution by immigration. We're in the third of 4 quarters. That is the third quarter of revolution by immigration. You can see this all over the world with what I also call the second Muslim crusade. Oh, Mark, what? We're supposed to pretend these things aren't happening? There is a horrendous video that I saw last night. I really couldn't sleep after I saw it. In Belgium. Belgium is overrun now with people from the Middle East in that region of the world. And a lot of their towns are overwhelmed. You can see it in England. You can see it in France. It's all throughout Europe.
Okay, we'll get to the next video there. But anyways, yeah, that's what it's about. A little bit more.
The second Muslim crusade. You can see it happening in the United States.
I just put in a playlist out in the chat. Malachor, what's up? Dude, so good to see you, man. Grab that Line in the Sand link and watch it, man. I'm trying to make sure everybody in Australia knows what's going on too. That Open Conspiracies playlist that is still out there, that runs down everything and more on all these issues. So that's the one you go to for the whole globalist agenda, all the WEF stuff, the Davos stuff, it's all in there. All right. So if you guys want to watch that at any time, that's where you can go to for resources and all that other fun stuff. Yeah. We'll let this one run a little bit more, and then we're going to get on to Rig Watch right after this. One more, because we're talking about the border crisis right now and what's behind it?
Just in the last 5 years, just in the last 2 years, we've never seen what we are witnessing now. But I'll get to that another day. I want to talk about immigration more broadly. So, revolution by immigration, the Democrat Party wants to change the citizenry, wants to change the electorate to empower itself. This is diabolical. This is evil. The purpose of immigration is to support or improve the condition of the citizens who you're supposed to represent. The purpose is not to replace the citizens. I wrote a long piece, or at least a smart piece, in National Review many years ago on this issue, and the Wall Street Journal called me a restrictionist. Oh, they shot an arrow right through my heart. A restrictionist. Yeah, I'm a restrictionist. That is, you follow the law. You're restricted to following the processes, the legal processes that are in place. And I want to remind you all, those of you who listen on radio know this, but not everybody watching listens to my radio show. Naughty, naughty. But here's the deal. The Wall Street Journal editorial page used to say there needs to be an amendment to the Constitution that's 5 words long. Thou shalt have open borders. Did you guys know that? That was the position of the Wall Street Journal. That was the position of Wall Street. That was the position of the corporatists. It was also the position of eventually the Democrat Party and the unions, because the unions in the private sector saw their numbers shrinking. They used to be vehemently opposed to illegal immigration. Then they said, wait a minute, why fight it? Let's join it. We can eventually sign these people up as union members. Of course, they're screwing their current union members, but they don't care. They're looking 10, 20, 30 years out. And they figure the quickest way to get dues-paying members is through open borders. This is the truth. So even if it affects union membership today, they don't speak these words. I speak it for them because it's the truth. Even though it harms current union members, they're figuring, okay, but we'll bulk up our numbers in the future. That's the way the...
Okay, I'm going to stop it there so we can get on to Rig Watch. Again, immigration issue is a real problem. The border crisis is a real deal. That's why we got to get out there and vote to stop this madness. And whatever you believe, wherever you believe it, this is a real thing, and that's what's in front of us, and that's what we have to face together, all opinions included, one united front against this global evil. And if we don't stop this, that's why I'm like, I'm all in, right? I'm all in, because if we don't stop this, it'll cascade across the entire world, right? Once this last bastion of freedom is defeated, it's crushed from the inside. The only way it can be crushed, we're going to be, the world's going to be in a bad place. And we have 2 clear paths now. It's either we defeat this and we move on to a golden age of true freedom that's going to spread across the globe, or we lose to this, right? And we collapse into a dystopia that's going to spread across the globe. And sitting in their ivory towers with all the power and might in the world will be the elitists who orchestrated and architected it all. And they used us to do it to ourselves. That's why it's so important right now. We spend our time waking each other up and getting the information out that's going to do the job, right? Bickering over stupid details or whatever, it's not worth it. Running and hiding every time someone doesn't agree with you is just quitting, right? Let's not do that. Let's all work together and we will get through the finish line, because it's about the future. It's about our kids. It's about their kids. They deserve to have a good world to live in. They deserve to have a safe and free world to live in. They deserve to have a world where they can prosper and be happy and achieve greatness. And so much is on the horizon, right? So many great times and great things are on the horizon. The future is right at our fingertips. And what's the future going to look like? Lady Autumn Sky, how's it going? Good to see you. Madcore, Herman, thank you guys so much for being here. Always a pleasure when you guys stop in. Thank you so much. Make sure you get that link and watch Line in the Sand. If you haven't, share it with people that may need to see it. There's a BitChute link for just the documentary only. I keep saying this for new people. I'm sure the people that have been here for a while get tired of hearing it, but I got to keep saying it, because if you share that Line in the Sand documentary with people that are on the fence or don't realize the depth of the crisis, it's a real instant red pill. It really wakes them up. All right. So much to go through on Rig Watch now. So much to go through. So now we got to go through and get through some of these reports about what's going on around the country. Let's start with and a couple back-to-backs. Let's start with some just reports out on X. Let's do that. Let's do that. Let's see. It says immigration has brought down civilizations before. Yeah, it has. And we saw this telegraphed by what was happening in Europe a few years back, right? I can't remember exactly when it started, but a few years back. And they were it was Muslim migration, right? And they had their borders were being crashed. I mean, ours was too. Ours was too. But we saw that what was happening. It's happening to all the Western countries, all the ones with some inkling of freedom. I'm surprised they haven't done it down in Australia yet. And I would be very, very concerned for you guys down there in Australia, what they could possibly be shipping into your country right now and what they're doing. I'd be very interested to hear too as well. Though I feel like you're going to have an Asian invasion down there. I feel like China really wants that island big time. Winning the Canadian Jim Patterson Group bought Save Market Grocery, and they are shutting down at least 3 warehouses that I know of, laying off over 600 people. I know a lot of people that have homes and children. Warehouse workers' last day of work is November 3rd. Now I hear over 100 Denny's are closing. Yeah, a lot of places are closing right now because of the economy. Hopefully they'll reopen when the economy gets better. I mean, I heard a bunch of 7-Elevens are shutting down. There's a bunch of places that are shutting down. So, it's just a sign of the times, right? And they say that we need migrants for jobs, right? As I've been showing too, there's a lot of jobs that are going to be replaced by robotics. I mean, we've seen robots and automated cars and all kinds of things going on now. Automated fast food restaurants, vending machines that can serve up food as well as any other place. That's all over Japan. I mean, just wait till those get here. I've been trying to show more and more of those videos on Saturday night of technology, right? And that's this could be a cool technology, but the truth is we don't need workers like they say we do. We need to put our own people to work. We need to have opportunities for them, right? And inspire them to get these jobs and help them get these jobs. We don't need to be giving them away to people that are let in illegally. And the first thing they do is break the law to get in, right? Then they're given all kinds of welfare as a reward, right? Meanwhile, the rest of us are suffering from inflation and being asked to pay exorbitant taxes on everything, right? Our groceries are up, our gas is up, our bills are up, our energy costs are up, everything's up. Yet they're the people that are breaking the law to get into our country that have no stake in the country. They only want the money. They only want to take from it, right? And yes, a lot of them want to escape their miserable government wherever they're coming from, and we understand that. But there's a lot of other people that are mixed in with that. We can't just let everybody in like that. In fact, we need to dial it back to 0. We need to go in and clean out the corruption, get everybody back out, and then they have to reapply. And then people that can that can come in legally can come in. It's just the way it is. It's that they screwed them. And when they want to know why, it ain't Trump's fault. It's the UN's fault. It's the establishment's fault. It's them that did it to you. It's them that did the wrong things. And people are smart. I mean, they may be in poverty. They may come from countries that are authoritarian, but they're smart. People are smart, right? They'll get it. They'll know. I mean, I understand both sides of the thing here that's going on. Take a look at this. Kyle Becker, election victory. Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals delivers a critical ruling that affects mail-in ballots. All ballots must now be received by election day in order to be counted. Is this for real? The U.S. Court of Appeals decision overrides state laws permitting post-election day ballot counting, affirming that federal law mandates the deadline. Yes, that's one thing where I'm happy the federal law does that. Judge Andrew S. Oldman states the day for the election is when the ballots must be both cast and received by state officials. The ruling directly impacts Mississippi's previous policy, which allowed ballots to be counted for up to 5 days after the election. This sets a clear precedent for election integrity and increases pressure on states to adhere strictly to the standards as the 2024 election approaches. Justice Kavanaugh summarized the separate. Is that a video? Maybe they're reading it. Let's listen to what it says. I can't hear it. Oh no, it's just scrolling through it. Okay. As Justice Kavanaugh summarizes in a separate Supreme Court case, to state the obvious, a state cannot conduct an election without deadlines. A deadline is not unconstitutional merely because of voters' own failures to take timely steps to ensure their franchise. This is a huge ruling for election integrity. There we go. I love it. And there it is right there. All right. So let's hope they don't come back and try to stop it right now with some kind of bullshit, legal bullshit, right? The administration has destroyed the middle class. That was their playbook. Yes. Was their playbook? Of course. Absolutely. Lower paid foreigners. Awesome. Now let's see which states adhere to it. Exactly, Heidi. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Winning, it's not because of the economy that they're closing. Why would they buy this company if they were all they're going to do is shut down the warehouse? It's only part of the West plan or hire new. Maybe. I don't know much, but I don't know much about it. I'll have to look into it more. But that's dirty corruption. The fish rots from the head down. Corruption breeds corruption in every case. All right, let's put that one away. All right, here we go. More rig watch is on. Raw news reporting from X. Breaking: federal authorities have arrested a U.S. postal worker for discarding thousands of pieces of mail, including political mailings and some election ballots. We saw last night some guy fished a bunch of ballots out of a storm drain on his neighborhood watch patrol, and luckily returned those. So yeah, the federal workers that are part of the corruption, maybe they're getting paid off, maybe they're just mind controlled. They're doing dirty games right now. They did it in 2022. Federal authorities have arrested a U.S. mail carrier, Otis McCoy, accused of dumping over 1,000 pieces of mail, including 400 political mailings and an election ballot, in a wooded area instead of delivering them on his Orlando, Florida route. I wonder if that was intentional or if that, some kind of mental breakdown. But look at this. Sound? Another one without sound. I guess that's where they all were. He just threw them away. According to the court documents, a co-worker reported to McCoy's manager that he returned unusually early despite leaving with a large amount of mail. GPS data showed McCoy had diverted into a wooded area where the co-workers later found scattered mail. I'm glad they're following up on this. There are good people out there doing good work, man. Thank God for them. Thank God for them. All right, let's get to our next piece. What we got here? All right. Elon Musk. Team Trump, Elon Musk. I can't wait till he gets in there and starts doing it with his magic. Massive numbers flown directly to swing states and put on the fast track to citizenship. Voter importation. It's a sure way for the Democratic Party to achieve permanent victory. Diabolically smart. And so it's here. Biden Mayorga allegedly implemented a policy flying inadmissible aliens into the interior of the U.S., reportedly bringing up to 45,000 per month from various countries. There we go. Wow. Yeah, there's the Haiti, Venezuela, and Nicaragua. Remember, she was like, we had a bipartisan, this is Kamala, we had a bipartisan bill that was going to, it was going to solve the border crisis and stop the fentanyl and all this. See, it says here, 45 per month in various countries. Since the policy launched, 823,000 individuals have been transported. Nearly 1 million they've flown in on our dime, right? I guess they don't care about climate change with all that flying. For comparison, only 65,000 were relocated in the 10 years prior to this initiative. Tell me you're up to something, right? Without telling me. Right there. Look at the difference in that. That's what's going on. That's what Springfield, Ohio unveiled, right? That's what that unveiled. When they started ramming into people with their cars and animals from parks started disappearing. That they were doing this little game. And that's why, among other reasons, all the pork and all the other funding that was packed into that bipartisan immigration border bill that we're going to put 1,500, not 1,000, more border patrol agents down there to be paid off to process people into our country, right? That was, yeah, she's like, when Donald Trump stopped it. And it's like, no, the base people who read it in Congress stopped it because it was bullshit, right? And it didn't mention, Trump said this in his speech in Duluth the other night, it didn't mention these people at all. It says, yeah, we'll stop the border, but they're still flying in all these people and dumping them in the middle of America in small towns that can't handle it. You know, that I mean, tell me, you think that's gonna not start violence in some ways? You don't think people are gonna start fighting back? In fact, I had a video that I've been meaning to show about they're doing this in Alabama now, right? And Alabama people are trying to get ahead of it. They're kind of got like a little bit of a pre-warning that's just happening to them. They're expecting the same thing to happen to them. These big blocks of people are going to be dumped in their small towns. And they're like, well, people around here won't put up with it. I had a whole bunch of that. I had yet to get to it yet. So much going on. So much going on. These people are disgusting. We got to keep fighting and fighting and fighting. We got to get through this election, and then we got to keep it on. Oh, more from Kyle Becker on the job, watching the Rig Watch excellence right here. Major voter registration fraud operation uncovered in Pennsylvania. Lancaster County's District Attorney Heather Adams and 3 other county commissioners have announced a major voter registration fraud operation in Pennsylvania. On Tuesday afternoon, I was contacted by Krista Miller, who is our chief clerk of elections, regarding potential fraudulent voter registration applications that had recently been received by her office. At that time, she informed me that the election officials received approximately 2,500 applications at or near the deadline for registering to vote. While preparing for the process, these applications, staff noted that the numerous applications appear to have the same handwriting. Oh, wow, that's never a dead giveaway. Were filled out on the same day with unknown signatures. And some were previously registered voters. How about that? And the signatures on file did not match the signatures on the application. Don't say. You don't say. Wow. So before I begin to summarize our preliminary findings, I must remind everyone that this is an ongoing investigation. And for that reason, I will be limited in the details that I can provide. Lancaster County detectives began investigating the voter registration application and immediately found applications that were indeed fraudulent. So some investigation seems like now it's just like we're just a crime scene investigation. Indicators of fraud included inaccuracies with the addresses listed on the applications, false personal identification information, as well as false names. A number of the applications also contain names that did not match the provided Social Security information. In some cases, applications contain correct personal identification information, such as the correct address, correct phone number, date of birth, driver's license number, and Social Security numbers. All right. But the individuals listed on the application informed detectives that they did not request the form. They did not complete the form and verified that the signature on the form was not theirs. Rig Watch is on, folks. At this point, it is believed the fraudulent voter registrations are connected to a large-scale canvassing operation for voter registrations that date back to June. This sounds like old Stacey Abrams has gone up there and did done some work up there. However, the majority of the applications received are dated August 15th. And after those canvassing for voters' registrations were employed and paid to obtain voter registration applications, the majority of the applications were from residents in the city of Lancaster. I've been to that city. However, applications were also received from residents in Columbia, Elizabethtown, Mount Joy, Akron, Feretta, Stephen Stroudsburg. I know Stroudsburg. I went to wrestling camp there when I was a kid, as well as other locations around Lancaster County. The canvases themselves took place at various shopping centers, parking lots of grocery stores and businesses, sidewalks and parks. During this preliminary investigation, that's why this shit has to stop, man. This whole thing is a big old scam. It's been running. That's how we lost Georgia last time. During this preliminary investigation, detectives were able to verify some of the applicants were indeed legitimate. In these instances, that the applicant verified that they did inform, they did information. Okay, they gave information to the canvasser for these applications. We will immediately advise voter registration, and that we confirm that they are legitimate requests, and voter registration will process that application. Okay. Thus far, the investigation we have completed, we have determined that 60% are fraudulent. 60%. How many votes did Trump lose by in 2020? Right, 40,000 or so. 40,000.
At that time, she informed me, good morning, everyone, District Attorney Heather Adams. On Tuesday afternoon, I was contacted by Krista Miller, who is our Chief Clerk of Elections, regarding potentially fraudulent voter registration applications that had recently been received by her office.
Yeah, I think I just read all that.
At that time, she informed me.
We won't go through that. So I just read it. All right, next up. Insurrection Barbie. What you got for me? What you got? This one I won't read. This one we'll listen to.
A big deal. Right. You can see how little things like this are becoming a big deal. WRAL Capitol Bureau Chief Laura Leslie spent the day getting to the bottom of this problem.
Noelle Brown is what you might call a highly engaged voter. She was really looking forward to casting her ballot at a Wake County early voting site Monday.
There was only one person in front of me, so I thought I hit the jackpot, you might say.
But her anticipation quickly turned into frustration when she was told she had already voted by mail.
Heck no, I haven't voted by absentee ballot. I've never voted by absentee ballot. Never.
The minutes stretched on as the workers at the early voting site clustered around a computer and asked her more questions.
I was becoming very disappointed at a minimum and a little nervous. I mean, I didn't want to get in trouble for voting twice when I haven't.
The chief judge eventually let her cast her ballot, but she was still worried.
I am concerned about third-party actors because I have never voted absentee.
Wake County Elections Director Olivia McCall had the answer. She said another voter with the same name, Noelle Brown, had voted by mail, and that was the record the worker first pulled up. She said there are a lot of similar names in a county with more than 857,000 voters.
We have different spellings of different names. We have hyphenated names, and sometimes they didn't register with that hyphenated name, or maybe the spelling is off. So for us, we ask additional questions to make sure that we ensure that we have the right person.
Those additional questions clarified that Brown was not the same voter who had already voted. There was a slight difference in how the names were spelled. So Brown was able to cast her ballot.
It might take a little bit added time to research and make sure that we do have the right voter. But it's also important for the voters to give us information that would help, like a spelling of a name can help, if there's an E on the end of a name versus not.
McCall says if this happens to you, try to be patient. She said even if they can't figure it out on the spot, you will still be allowed to vote a provisional ballot, and elections officials will research it and get to the bottom of it before the final vote count. Laura Leslie, WRAL News, Raleigh.
Wow. Exactly, Mad Cool.
You can see.
Exactly. Yeah, I know. 60%, Chrissy. Isn't that crazy? Can you remember? I mean, we know they're desperate. They're doing everything. They're crashing the border. They're going to pull their same old shenanigans. They showed their hand last time. We know what they're doing. And then you got suspicious shit like this going on. It's like, what in the world are they doing right here? Let's listen to this dude and see what he has to say.
Right here in Bucks County, we've got this Democratic Center they've opened up here, of course, in Bucks County. Look, Harris, but it's all covered up in block. They're hiring $25 an hour. They won't tell you what it's for. I've asked these two dudes here. But you see this right here? Getting ready to do something here. And what do you know? It's right next to the post office in Bucks County. Isn't that interesting?
That's interesting.
2 guys in here. They won't tell you what's going on, but I asked them for a job. They told me no, get out of here. I guess maybe because my hat said USA on it. They didn't want me to work here. But let's talk to them, see if they're hiring. Guys, what are you guys doing in here, you said? You don't know. You're all covered up and blocked, right? These 2 guys right here, they work here. Yeah, and they're getting ready. They're covering something up right next to the post office. You see this? Look at these guys. Here they are. I got you. See, everything is blocked in here. They're hiding everything they're doing. They're saying because it's too bright outside. I guess they're some sort of vampires or something. Look at them.
Right.
I got you. I got you guys. Okay? We're all set. Okay? I just want to make sure you guys aren't hiring me though, right? Not with the USA hat, right? No. Well, just tell me, what are you guys doing and getting ready to do next to the post office? Tell me what I can do. I want to work here. I want to work here in the shade too. It's hot outside. Right. You can call the police. You're the one offering the hiring, right? I just want to know what you guys are doing in here in Bucks County, why everything's covered up. Right, these are the guys. Just remember these 2 faces here. Remember these guys, okay? You see that? I don't know why it's all covered up. He told me earlier, he said it's because the sun is so bright. I don't know if they're vampires, they're saying. I don't know what's going on, but
that's sus, dude. That is
right next to
sus.
the post office. Do the math.
Sus.
Do the math.
That is sus. What do you guys think's going on in there? Any ideas? Any ideas? Let's see. This just in from O'Keefe Media Group just broke 2 hours ago. Let's figure out what's going on right here. Maricopa County, very important. Arizona is very important.
I had one question about drop-off ballots. Are we allowed to say anything? Because it is a felony for people to turn in ballots outside their home.
No.
Just 2 weeks away from the presidential election, we are inside recording the trainings. We take you inside Maricopa County, Arizona, where election trainings are now in full swing. Meet Amy Bricker. She's an election trainer from Maricopa County. She says if poll workers spot ballot harvesting activity, it is not their job to police that illegal activity. Check this out.
As a poll worker, it's not your responsibility to police that. We're not any type of law enforcement.
During yet another election poll watching training session at Maricopa County's election office, another citizen journalist discovered that federal agents from the DOJ will be inside those election centers. Again, all of this recorded by volunteers, citizen journalists, and poll watchers there in Arizona.
What would be some reasons why the Department of Justice would need to show up at your poll center?
They could be following up on a lawsuit or just coming to monitor things for this election.
Hello, James O'Keefe here in Palm Beach, Florida. We've got people on the inside of poll locations around the country, including in Maricopa County. We have hundreds of poll workers, election clerks, and judges with hidden cameras recording trainings and polling locations.
Yeah, Heidi, I showed that last night. I showed that one last night too. Remember the old guy that was walking down the street and he was like doing neighborhood watch and he pulled a bunch out of the gutter? Mm-hmm.
And in this video, just 2 weeks away from the presidential election, we take you inside Maricopa County, Arizona, where election trainings are now in full swing. Meet Amy Bricker. She's an election trainer from Maricopa County. She says if poll workers spot ballot harvesting activity, possibly illegal activity like ballot harvesting, it is not their job to police that illegal activity. Check this out.
I had one question about drop-off ballots.
Yes.
We had a couple instances during the primary where somebody brought in a stack.
Mm-hmm.
It was a kind of a point of contention. My question is, besides, did the owner of the ballot sign and date? Are we allowed to say anything? Because it is a felony for people to turn in ballots outside their home.
No. As a poll worker, it's not your responsibility to police that. We're not any type of law enforcement. So we're just going to ask the question. If they comply with the question, we're going to allow them to drop what they had.
The citizen journalist wanted to ask how these harvested ballots would be counted. Election trainers Amy Bricker and Dawn Woodruff said even though the votes are harvested, as long as Maricopa has the voter signatures matched, well, they will cast those votes.
How does that check?
Signature verification.
Right, but even if they picked up valid ballots from other homes, it's still a felony.
Well, so that, again, they would have to be signed
Right.
by the owners.
Right.
So if it's signed by the owners, then that is a valid signature, and that is a valid ballot.
Now, we did some legal research on the laws regarding ballot harvesting in Arizona. Arizona's ballot harvesting law was eventually declared as constitutional by the Supreme Court. The law provides for no delivery of ballots unless you're a family member and caregiver. The county recording or other officer in charge of election shall ensure that a voter is not in possession of another voter's ballot within the on-site early ballot tabulation. If for some reason poll watchers are allowed to observe these, the recourse is to file a timely written complaint based upon statutory grounds. If they're cheating, stealing, or lying, well, we're going to be recording it. During yet another election poll watching training session at Maricopa County's election office, another citizen journalist discovered that federal agents from the DOJ will be inside those election centers.
Now, if you have someone from the Department of Justice, who can they speak to?
Anybody.
Anyone, yes. So they will have a badge that will identify them. We have no jurisdiction over them, so they can talk to anyone and they can observe anything.
Our citizen journalist went on to ask the Maricopa County training officials why the Department of Justice will be inside these places. Amy Bricker's response was to, quote, monitor things for this election.
What would be some reasons why the Department of Justice would need to show up at your poll center?
Because they want to.
They could be following up on a lawsuit or something with the previous election, or just coming to monitor things for this election.
Now, as we mentioned earlier, according to election trainers, poll workers are not allowed to police people who ballot harvest, but our citizen journalist with the secret camera found out poll watchers can police in another way. Voters who take a picture of their own ballot will be told by poll workers to immediately delete the picture in question off their phone. If the voter doesn't comply, then a report is filed.
If a voter wants to take a picture of their ballot with their phone,
No,
not allowed.
no,
No
not at all.
photos at all.
So the procedure for that is if you happen to see someone take a picture of themselves, a selfie, their ballot, whatever.
Why is that not allowed? I know that a lot of people record their entire experience. Why is that not allowed?
Going to ask them to do is we don't want to be confrontational, but we do want
That's
to
right,
ask
Chrissy.
them
Just
to
one.
delete that photo. Most often they will not delete the photo.
Right?
So in that case, just go ahead and fill out a goldenrod. You don't need to include the voter's name, just include the time,
Just the harass voters.
the location, the date, and just say, hey, voter, take a picture, did not want to delete, and just do the goldenrod.
As the countdown to the 2024 election, we're only 2 weeks away. Here at OMG, we have hundreds of people who've signed up to be a poll watcher, and they want our hidden cameras. Of course, you have to determine if the jurisdiction you live in is legal. We're going to have some legal advice posted to our website. If you want a hidden camera, please reach out to us at tips@o'keefemediagroup.com. Send us a DM. We're going to be dispatching dozens of hidden cameras around the country. We are on the inside, and if you see something, record something and send it to James O'Keefe at O'Keefe Media.
Do it. You can, dude. You can totally. That's another way you can help out. You can, if you don't want to be part of the Trump campaign that's doing that, and they're looking for people right now. You can team up with James O'Keefe and do the hidden camera stuff. That's even more fun. Good stuff. James O'Keefe is a American hero. Most definitely. So that was just in. Fresh off the presses there. Tampering with ballot boxes. I told you I had a lot of rig watch on tonight. All right. Let's bring in Tim Pool, who's doing a great job watching
so
the rig
far.
too.
Betting market, stock market, the polls. Trump at 0.2 behind Kamala nationally. It's an effective tie. There's no way that Donald Trump is losing this election. But, oh, what's this? Dem operative caught allegedly tampering with Montana ballot box. Uh-oh, my friends. There is one thing you must fear. And we call this the standalone complex. What is this? It is not a conspiracy. It is when everybody acts in concert towards a certain goal, such that it looks as a conspiracy.
Yep. I call it a conspiracy of an idea, right? I did a short on that one, actually.
Is to say that in this election, it may just be that 10,000 Democrats play dirty and Kamala wins. I'll give you an example. Say maybe it's one Democrat tampering with a ballot box for some reason. Maybe he's going to go in there. I don't know what he's doing. And maybe someone else, not this guy, might pop open a ballot box when he thinks nobody's looking. Pull out ballots he thinks are for Trump or who knows what. Maybe they'll go to Republican districts. And what would happen if I'm not going to give, I can think of easy ways, but what if somebody went and tampered with a box in such a way that it destroyed the ballots inside? They go to a Trump district and destroy ballots? You see, this one individual isn't part of a conspiracy, but when the media tells him Trump is Hitler, what are they encouraging? Not necessarily political violence. That's the narrative, right? That when Kamala comes out and says Trump is Hitler, when the Atlantic says Trump is speaking like Hitler, Stalin, and Mussolini, they don't need to give instructions. Those are the instructions. A Democrat in a polling location may then look at a ballot and go, it's probably for Trump. But I'm going to say indeterminate. Throw it in the garbage. Unknown. Can't read the handwriting. Here's one for Kamala. What's this one? Drimph? I don't know who that is. Garbage. Camel A. Oh, that's Kamala for sure. You see what I'm saying? Take a look at this story from the Post Millennial. Montana election officials caught a Democratic operative allegedly tampering with a ballot box Sunday. After viewing surveillance footage of the incident, Crystal Cole, the Glacier County election administrator, reported her concerns to the Montana Secretary of State's election unit about the potential tampering, according to an email shared with Fox News Digital. Cole told the Montana Secretary of State's office that she called the Democrat who told her he was just testing the box to see how secure the box was. I was simply trying to break it open because I wanted to know if it could be broken open, not that I wanted to do anything nefarious. Sure. Cole said the Montana Democratic Party did not notify the elections office. They would be sending someone to the ballot box to check how secure it was. So on camera, it looks like he was tampering with it. When do we ever allow one political party to go and do ballot box testing? Yeah, we don't. The Secretary's office said the man in the video is Laszlo Gendler, an employee of the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee, this cycle, according to the documents from the Federal Election Commission. Poll observers are instructed not to touch the ballot boxes. This individual was attempting to ensure a new ballot box was secured to the wall. Neither the ballot box nor ballots were effective. David Bergstein, a spokesperson for DSCC, told Fox News, their actions were not in accordance with our procedures, and out of an abundance of caution, they will no longer be doing this work moving forward. Why would they want to test to see that the ballot box was secured to a wall? Were they concerned that someone would be stealing the ballot box or something? Seems odd. The Secretary of State's office told Fox News Digital that the matter has been referred to the Glacier County Sheriff. Videotaped by Fox News Digital documents the individual, apparently Gendler, moving towards the ballot box in Glacier County, Montana, grabbed the box with both hands, relinquished his grip, walked back a few steps before touching the box again. The incident is troubling because it occurred in a state that is seeing one of the tightest Senate races in the country, with Republican Navy SEAL Tim Sheehy challenging John Tester. The Glacier County ballot box can be found in Montana's 1st Congressional District, the home of Republican Rep. Ryan Zinke, who is running for re-election against Democrat Monica Tranel. The Montana Democratic Party offered no comment. Indeed. So when a Democrat goes and grabs a ballot box, it's funny because we have this from the Washington Post.
All right, thanks,
Over
Andre.
230 Republican candidates have cast doubt on the 2024 election. And we got a video. What is this? This is a story from the other day. We got a video of a guy allegedly tampering with the ballot box. Yo, we have concerns. We have questions. WAPO says nearly half of Republican candidates for Congress or top state offices have used social media to cast doubt on the integrity of the 2024 election, according to a Washington Post analysis, highlighting a pervasive effort within the GOP to undermine public trust in the vote ahead of November 5th. From November 9th, 2022, to October 11th, at least 236 Republican candidates posted or amplified a range of falsehoods or misinformation about election malfeasance. Many candidates baselessly accused Democrats of trying to sway the election through former President Donald Trump's court cases or by registering non-citizens to vote. Others falsely likened Vice President Kamala Harris's nomination to a coup. Promoted misinformation about voter fraud. These people are incorrigible. They live in a crackpot psycho dimension of garbled nonsense. Kamala Harris was never elected. No, she didn't win a primary. They appointed her to be the nominee.
We got plenty more to go, Andrew Diet.
But let me just say, my friends, this is the alternate reality Democrats live in, which I say you must be concerned of and prepared for. Democrats don't care about what's true. Their brains don't process this. Nope. Don't ask me why. Now, certainly you'll get people like Cenk Uygur saying Republicans think these things are crazy and they don't pay attention. And I'm like, dude, let me just tell you. When you watch old Timcast here, I'm not going to sit here and patter and prop up Republicans either. But the reality is this. The moderates are with the Republican Party right now. That is to say, I can recognize when there are concerns that Democrats have and why I would say that they are valid or not. When someone says Donald Trump is bad for this, that, or otherwise, I might say, you know what, maybe you're right, maybe you're wrong. Increasing drone strikes, decreasing drone strike transparency, the reports on how many drone strikes there were, not good things. Not a fan of those. I can justify them and give my reason for why I think they may have been. I think as Trump was trying to withdraw from the Middle East, he wanted to maintain security. Increasing drone strikes allows us to decrease personnel. That's just my thought on the matter. I'm not saying it's necessarily a good thing. You can criticize it if you'd like. I'm just speculating. I would like to justify why I think it was being done, but still, we don't know. Certainly, there are many Trump supporters that sniff Trump's farts and they'll give him whatever they want. They'll say whatever they think he wants to hear. But I think Trump is an overall great president. His foreign policy was good. The economy was good. There's a reality to that. Democrats will come out and say, her nomination's not a coup. Why? Who chose her? She wasn't nominated. Nobody cast a vote for Kamala Harris. Nobody donated to Kamala Harris. Well, I mean, certainly at this point, they have. I'm saying before she took over at the DNC. People had voted specifically for Joe Biden. That was the primary. And then once he won, he stepped down for whatever reason, Kamala Harris becomes the nominee because delegates chose her and none of the Democrat voters did. That is, I guess you call it a coup. It's an opinion statement. They're saying many candidates baselessly accuse Democrats of trying to sway the election through court cases. But
I mean, this is the third time in a row, too. I mean, not many people point this out. In 2016, they wanted Bernie. They got stuck because of superdelegates. They got stuck with Hillary. And they told Bernie to take a knee. And he did, because that's what he does. In 2020, they wanted Bernie. But they got Biden. They told Bernie to take a knee, and he did, because that's what he does. In 2024, they said, okay, we'll go with Joe Biden. You guys say he's fine. Well, I guess we'll believe you, right? And then he took a knee because they told him to, and they got stuck with Kamala Harris. The Democrat Party has not picked their nominee in 3 election runs.
they literally are attempting baselessly. What do you mean? They created a new law in New York allowing people to sue for criminal sexual assault. 30 years later, I believe, what is it? Trump is the only one who's been sued under the law. There's no evidence. Just someone who said 30 years ago Trump did a thing and they went, okay, that proves it. Seriously? We got a bunch of Philip J. Fries in the jury. One of the guys apparently watched him cast IRL. Apparently not enough, because he was like, I guess this proves it. Okay. The joke is from Futurama when they're watching a video on Bigfoot, and the narrator goes, in the Northwest, Bigfoot lives, some might say. And then Fry goes, that proves it. Yeah, that's how people responded to the charges against Trump. How about the civil litigation, where they said that Trump defrauded businesses that are still working with him, want to keep working with him, and who claimed they were never defrauded? And then they say, you're baselessly accused. These people live in a crackpot reality where their brains are jello. Don't you just want to go up to them and scream like, please, look with your eyes. But it's intentional. I am under no illusions that Clara Ence Morse, Derek Hawkins, and Carson Terbush don't know this. They're journalists, or perhaps not propagandists. But this means they're looking at the information in the media and they're making determinations and setting strategy for narrative. There's no way you go online, read all this stuff, and then conclude the wrong thing. That's what I say about David Pakman, right? Shout out, David. There's no way you sit here and you read these things and then come to the inverse conclusion.
Right.
I don't watch the guy's show that much, but I can give you an example of when one poll came out that was bad for Trump, and he's like, Trump's down in the polls. And I'm like, well, in aggregate, he's winning. But that's the nature of these things. I like to use aggregate polling. And even then, I'll argue whether I think the polls are truly legit. I will try to make those distinctions, and I will try to help you better understand to the best of my abilities. I will also say this. I was right in 2020. What was I right about? Support for Donald Trump was increasing massively. What was I blindsided by? I did not expect ballot harvesting. I didn't see that coming. And that was my ignorance.
I warned about that in 2018. 2018. It was all over the place here in Georgia. Stacey Abrams, power hungry Stacey, hungry Stacey, and her ballot harvesting operation. They were everywhere.
But that's a recognition I can easily make. Trump gained, what did he jump, like 13 million new votes? He's the first president to gain more votes in his second election and lose a presidential election.
Ridiculous.
I thought, based on the economic factors and
a blessing in disguise,
the polling and everything we were seeing, it suggested a Trump victory despite Biden being way ahead. That is true in aggregate. We knew that there was a polling bias for Democrats in 2016. What I didn't count on was ballot harvesting. And that really did help put Democrats over the top. And what's the proof? Donald Trump won on election day, but when the mail-in ballots came in,
do you feel burned?
Then Joe Biden took the lead. A lot of people say shenanigans, and I say, well, if you expect there to be an election day, then sure. But simply put, I'm tired of it. Democrats live in this crackpot reality. It's not real life. They believe this fake garbage, okay? You've got a guy on camera accused of tampering with a ballot box. Tell me it's baseless. I'll wrap it up there. Smash the like button. Share the show with everyone you know. Follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast.
All right. Tim, thank you for the rig watch. On top of it, this just in. Hold on. Let me just switch. I guess when I say just in, it means I found it just now. So I got to switch my tab, and here we go.
On the breaking news now, a federal judge just ordered Virginia to reinstate the more than 1,600 voters taken off the state's voter rolls after being identified as non-citizens. The Justice Department filed a lawsuit after their removal, which
corruption
alleged that Virginia violated federal law by systematically removing those non-citizens from voter rolls.
How is that even possible? How is that even possible?
Too close to Election Day. Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin.
It's too close to Election Day to remove the non-citizens from the voter roll. Well, they can't vote if you do that.
Says the state will immediately petition the court for an emergency injunction. We have Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin by phone for his very first reaction. And let's get that. First of all, welcome to the Faulkner Focus and your reaction, Governor.
Yeah, Harris, this is a stunning ruling by a federal judge who is ordering Virginia to reinstate individuals who have self-identified as non-citizens back on the voter rolls. And what's even more astounding is the vast majority of these folks had presented immigration documents confirming that they were non-citizens, and we recently had that verified by federal authorities. So here we are with a judge saying, put people back on the voter rolls who you know are non-citizens. And this is under a law in Virginia that's been in effect since 2006. It has been applied by Republican and Democrat governors alike into this 90-day period. And here we are 11 days before a presidential election, and a federal judge is ordering them back on the voter rolls. It's astounding to me that this could possibly happen. I mean, listen, common sense says non-citizens aren't on the voter rolls, but the Constitution and the law say it as well. And that's why we are immediately petitioning the Fourth Circuit for an emergency stay here on this injunction. And we will immediately go to the U.S. Supreme Court if necessary.
Look,
we are not going to sit by and let this happen.
I'm reading, Governor, that the executive order requiring the removal of them came on August 7th. Which was 90 days before Election Day. So clearly you had begun this process far ahead of when the DOJ was coming for you. I don't understand why there is any question about the timing of this.
Harris, this process has been going on for years. For years. This is not something that just started in the 90-day window. And by the way, the 90-day window doesn't even apply because these are non-citizens who shouldn't have been on the voter roll to begin with. And this is an individualized process. These people have self-identified as non-citizens and either by accident or purpose ended up on the voter rolls, and they should have not been there in the first place. And so to suggest that we have to put them back on the voter roll is why everyone is just reacting with this immense sense of amazement. Could this possibly be? And that's why we have to immediately petition for an emergency stay on this injunction, and we will do that as fast as we possibly can.
All right. Speaking of quickly, because I know you've got to get back at it real quickly now. So what happens? I know it's 1,600, and people may say, oh, that's not many. Every race in America is going to be tight. Let's just get that straight right now. So what happens if those voters are put back on the rolls? And are you concerned that there may be others out there who will try to register before Election Day? Can they even do that in your state?
At this point in our state, we do have same-day registration, but they cast a provisional ballot. And then we can go back and confirm whether that was a valid ballot or not. And in fact, that is the ultimate safeguard here for anyone in this process, which is they can always same-day register and cast a provisional ballot that then can be confirmed with the light of day on it. The reality is that we have safe and fair and accurate elections in Virginia. We have paper ballots and counting machines, not voting machines. They're not hooked up to the internet. We have extensive custody laws, and we have really clean voter rolls. And this is what I'm concerned about is a federal judge telling us to put these people back on the voter rolls after we have done everything constitutionally consistent and consistent with our law. And by the way, common sense. So we are going to immediately petition for this emergency stay of the injunction and make sure that our voter rolls stay clean.
Why can't they just keep those votes aside, just like they would on Election Day, if there are any questions about anybody, and just put those aside and let the federal government vet those people themselves, even though they've already done it and they gave you the go-ahead that these were non-citizens, but let them redo that process. I don't understand what the rush is. It feels political. Your last comment.
You think?
Yeah, Harris, common sense is clearly not at play here, and that's our issue. And so the common sense answer is, of course, that if people have been taken off the voter roll, they're not able to affirm that they are a U.S. citizen, they shouldn't be voting. And they can, of course, affirm they are a U.S. citizen and get back on the voter roll. That is common sense. That's a process that's been working in Virginia for 18 years. And to have a federal judge order that we reinstate over 1,500 individuals back on the voter rolls doesn't comply with common sense, the Constitution, or Virginia law.
Every American needs to be focused right now on Virginia and what's happening with those non-citizens. Governor.
And Harris, last comment. get out and vote, folks.
Yes.
You know, this is an incredibly important election, and we are asking all common sense minded Virginians and Americans, get out and vote.
Amen. Governor, I appreciate your time, first reaction here. And of course, we'll be following this, keeping it in focus very closely. Thank you, sir.
Hey, everyone.
All right. Got another thing just came in. Let's see what this is. Let's see. Election 20 ballot issues already. Where's this from? 8 hours ago. All right. Let's check it out. Some more on the ground. So many people are coming through they're recording stuff. They're immediately putting it on the internet. People are picking it up. This is the way we win. This is how we beat them. Guys, we got to stay vigilant. We got to fight until the bitter end. Let's do it.
When I got the paper ballot, it had the other candidate's name on it.
These videos show Tarrant County voters claiming ballot issues on the first day of early voting.
Double check your printed out ballot.
Jess Glover recorded the reaction while campaigning outside the White Settlement Library, saying they told her this.
Because what I selected on the screen printed out the opposite when it came out.
To raise awareness, Jess says she allowed her videos to be posted on social media.
I'm not trying to spread conspiracies. I'm looking for the truth. It might be a simple matter of machines are faulty.
Voters say poll workers advise them to make sure they pay attention. In the voting
always
booth.
ahead of the
They
game.
asked us to double check.
Always ahead of the
so
game.
I did that and then triple checked it.
The election administrator says it was the voter's error, not the machine.
This is not uncommon, and there's a practice in place called spoiling the ballot to handle this.
In Dallas County, this all after the elections office said back on Monday, several of its voting machines glitched, actually duplicating ballots and then causing very long lines and a lot of frustrated voters.
Received several calls from constituents who are concerned that their votes are being miscast.
Democratic lawmakers, along with an election commissioner, sounding the alarm. Some voters claiming when they go to select a candidate, the voting machine switches the answer. The group collectively.
I remember this for 2020. It was the same damn thing. They tried to blame the voters for the machine switching.
Saying people voting at more than half of the Shelby County's precincts are reporting the same issue.
You aim for the box, you often miss it, and it's touching the one above it. So touch inside anywhere on the candidate's name.
Tight races, high interest in.
Why do they put the box in the corner?
The election and a 2-page ballot are leaving Maricopa County officials warning of lines on election day and also warning it's going to take them 10 to 13 days to tabulate results. Tabulation expected to take time.
We do expect that it will take between 10 and 13 days to complete tabulation of all of the ballots that come in, but we ask for the community's patience as we want
as we make sure we keep counting till we get the number that we want
to make sure that this is a secure process, but we also want to make sure that it is an accurate process.
South Carolina GOP Chairman Drew McKissick says there are a number of red flags that indicate ballot harvesting in Marion County.
Where there's smoke, there's fire.
McKissick cites 16 voters registered under an address that is currently vacant. One of whom, he says, is a paid Democrat staffer.
Well, what do you know? What? How about that?
Organized ballot harvesting ring. It looks like that was probably the case in the Democrat primary. It seems to be everything that we're hearing now from anonymous sources there in Marion County is that the same operation is at work again.
If you're not a citizen, it is illegal to vote, whether you thought you were allowed to or not, and you will be held accountable in the state of Ohio.
Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost says 6 people in the Buckeye State broke the law by voting, even though they were not U.S. citizens.
Yost says under Ohio law, it doesn't matter if a person intended to vote illegally or not. It's still a crime. It's a 4th-degree felony that carries a possible 18-month prison sentence.
Yeah, so let's enforce that. Let's enforce those.
That and where this strike might be going.
We need to do that. We need to start enforcing these things and make people like, I ain't going to mess around with it. They're serious. They're serious. And if you can do that, you might dissuade some people from doing some really bad stuff. But, you know, you can't dissuade everybody. Unfortunately, still
intentionally set fire to a mailbox where people were dropping off ballots, 20 ballots.
Someone set fire, torched ballots in Arizona. Arizona is just all kinds of heated up right now.
Were destroyed. I don't know or care who did this. I don't care if it's Democrat, Republican, or otherwise. Civil war. We're at the point where you have evidence of individuals intentionally trying to sabotage the election. At the ground level, how could we expect to get a legitimate election now? I hope it's a one-off. I do. The Daily Mail reports authorities begin investigation into Arizona mailbox fire that burnt up at least 20 ballots. A fire set at a blue drive-up mailbox in Arizona is being investigated after multiple ballots were damaged. The Phoenix Fire Department says their arson unit is investigating the blaze and looking for the individual responsible. According to authorities, an unidentified person began the fire at the drive-up box around 1:20 a.m. local time. Reports indicate that at least 20 ballots were damaged. The collection box is on the property of the U.S. Postal Service office, and investigators have gathered surveillance footage from surrounding buildings. The Phoenix Police and Fire Departments are investigating the incident alongside U.S. Postal Inspectors. We have the video report from Fox 10 Phoenix here.
Story now at 9, and this is a story that we have been following throughout the morning.
Yeah, we are learning more this morning about a mailbox that was badly damaged overnight in central Phoenix. It was early this morning outside of the post office at 7th Avenue and Indian School. So Phoenix Fire is telling us they were able to force the box open and put out the flames that were inside this mailbox. It's one of those, mailboxes that you can drive up and drop off your mail. The big concern right now, of course, is as we approach Election Day, there could have potentially been ballots inside this mailbox. They say about 20 of them were damaged along with other mail inside. They are now in the possession of the postal inspector. No word on what caused the fire, but Phoenix Fire and police, they say, of course, there are cameras nearby and they're taking a good look at those and they are investigating this case this morning.
So we don't know who,
story here
if anybody, we know that someone's responsible. Apparently there's a person seen on camera. Mail-in votes tend to be Democrat leaning. And so we don't know if this is going to turn out to be maybe a Republican who's upset with mail-in voting. No idea. We don't know that it's even targeting the election. Perhaps this is somebody who just went after a mailbox, which seems kind of odd, and I don't believe. Yeah, I think this absolutely was. I think the reasonable solution or conclusion is that it's related to the election. But who'd have done it? Republicans have made tremendous gains in mail-in voting. I don't think Democrats expect to win through in-person voting, so we just don't know. We don't. But more and more of these stories are popping up. Of course, you saw the story yesterday where a Democrat was caught tampering with a ballot box. Now, they say allegedly, but no, he was grabbing the box and trying to move it around or do something to it. That's tampering with the box. He was fired. Perhaps he was trying to do something untoward. Perhaps we don't know. But either way, why are you trying to grab and move around a ballot box? That seems very strange. The argument was, well, he was just trying to see if it was secure.
We heard that
testing
one. All right, let's move on. So yeah, burning stuff, not cool. Not cool.
I want to thank Matt Crane.
This is Colorado. So let's go to Colorado. Make sure this is nice and quick. There we go. All right, cool. And Colorado, around the globe we go, around the country we go.
Who is the executive director of the Colorado Clerks Association, for being here today.
Hello.
Yesterday, my office learned about a developing issue in Mesa County. We are here to tell you what we understand at this time, but it is a developing investigation. According to information that we gathered yesterday from the Mesa County Clerk's office, it appears that as of now, approximately a dozen voters in Mesa County had their ballots intercepted before they arrived to them and cast without their knowledge. Now,
Colorado.
The ballots were filled out, the return envelopes were signed, and they were then returned to a USPS blue box. So that's a postal box, not a ballot drop box. The issue was discovered during the signature verification process. At least 3 of the voters had already received communications from the Mesa County Clerk. Mesa County Clerk mailed 2 of the voters affected to ask them to cure their ballots, which means fix the signatures, because the signatures were rejected during the verification process. The voter subsequently reached out to Mesa County and told them they didn't actually vote their ballot or receive it. Other voters who had their ballots rejected because of the false signature would have also been sent that cure letter, but the ballots were intercepted in time. At least one other affected voter received a message through the ballot track system, which is the statewide ballot tracking system that sent a notification to them that their ballot was received by their county clerk. Again, the voter didn't actually receive their ballot and had not voted their ballot. None of these 3 voters had cast a ballot, and they reached out to the Mesa County Clerk. Mesa County Clerk Bobby Gross, her office then started an investigation. They discovered that ballots had been sent to addresses in close proximity to each other. Mesa County then looked at all the other ballots that were rejected because of the signature and discovered that it appeared that at least some of the ballots were signed by the same person. The Mesa County Clerk's office then turned the findings over to Mesa County District Attorney Dan Rubenstein, who has initiated a criminal investigation. The team in Mesa County is re-examining every ballot return envelope that has been received at this point. The investigation into the situation is ongoing. What we also know is that Colorado's elections are safe and secure. And this attempt at fraud was found and investigated quickly because of the groundbreaking tools that we have here. Every return ballot undergoes signature verification in the state of Colorado, which is comparing the signature on the ballot return envelope to the signatures on file by the voter. Colorado also has ballot curing, where the county clerk will actually reach out to a voter if their ballot is rejected because their signature does not match. And we have tools like ballot tracks, where voters can sign up and get information sent to them from when their ballot was mailed to them to when it was received by the county clerk to when it is counted. These fraudulent ballots were rejected and flagged. A recent update from the Mesa County clerk indicates that 4 made it through the initial round of signature verification. One of those was caught before it was counted because the voter had received a message through ballot tracks. Every voter impacted by the scheme that we are undercovering will have the opportunity to make their voice heard in the 2024 general election. Affected voters will be given a new ballot. Voter fraud, voter intimidation, and voter harassment are illegal in the state of Colorado. We will respond quickly to any attempts to disenfranchise voters or interfere with the Colorado election model. With that, I'll turn it over to Matt Crane, and then we'll take questions from everybody here. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It's unfortunate that we have to get together for an event like this to talk about when somebody tries to do something nefarious with our voting systems. But as we've heard from Secretary Griswold, it's important to note that our processes here in Colorado did what they were supposed to do in terms of identifying potential fraud when it happens.
Oh, they keep using it, MadCore, because that's the only way that the establishment can win now. That and crashing our border and trying to replace the voter population as fast as possible with people they've bribed. It's all corruption. It's falling apart. This is the end game. This is how it looks. And it's going to get crazy. It's going to get crazy. And I just passed this election. Into this election, this is the beginning of crazy. It's going to get crazy here on out. So we got a lot of work to do. We're gathering up. We're getting the like minds together. The base takes are here. And we're going to be in this together for the long haul until we get everything right. But when we do, when we come out on the other side, it's going to be an amazing world. And I look forward to sharing it with each and every one of you here.
And our clerk, Bobby Gross, and her team in Mesa County did a great job of following through on this to see what happened and working with DA Rubenstein in Mesa County to follow through and investigate this, which as the secretary said, is still ongoing. But I just want to highlight, this shows the resiliency of our process here in Colorado, that if somebody tries to do nefarious things, it will be discovered through our processes.
Well, I hope so. This is a long press conference. So I'm going to cut it at that right there. If you want to watch more, it's 9 News in Colorado, full news conference, all that stuff. Because we have some other stuff to cover here. Did I get through all of the election stuff? Let me see. This for today. All right. This is happening every day. Endorsements for Trump. Washington reporter endorses President Trump. That's good news. Washington Post. I just think I saw that. Washington Post endorses Trump. Phenomenal. More and more people are being like, screw it. We're endorsing him. Let's go. They're starting to realize it. The word's getting around about all these things that are going on at one time. It's accelerating. The tipping point is here, my friends. And now when we get to the tipping point, that's going to cause a reaction from the establishment. They're going to play some more cards. See, that's what they do. When we push them, we push past a boundary with them. We push past a breaking point with them. Yeah, I love the New York Post. The New York Post backs Trump. There we go. Yep. The choice is clear. Put the nation on the right path. Back to the future, they say. Big old endorsement for Trump. But yeah, every time we push to a barrier, they show us their cards. They show us how they're going to react. So, we're going to see what's next. Just be ready for anything. We kicked through the door on the GOP side, and they rolled out the Russia collusion hoax and lawfare, right? We broke through on with success, and they rolled out the ballot harvesting and the election rigging and the crisis. Never let a crisis go to waste. The COVID crisis, how they implemented their little plans, and they kept counting and got us used to the fact that we wouldn't know about who won the election on election night. Like, that's the weirdest thing ever. Like, when did that start happening? Well, when they started losing is when it started happening. So yeah, that's what happens. That's what happens. Let's see. What is that? That one came out anywhere. We did that, and that. Okay. Let me refresh this. And now we got to check out some polls around the country. Red Eagle Politics. This guy is so thorough. So thorough. I love this. I love how much commitment this young man is putting towards what he does. He takes what he does seriously. And we got some really good news going on here. Let me talk to the crowd here real quick since we've been burning through these videos. So much to cover, man. So much to cover. Let's see. Yeah, we need to get away. Trump's gonna get rid of it. Hopefully we find a way to do away with this just rigged system, right? And so I'm planning on voting this Tuesday. Awesome. Bring somebody who might not vote with you. It's been crazy for 16 years since Obama monster. Yeah, that's really when they started accelerating things. Interesting times indeed. Hubby and I took the kids and voted on first day of early voting. The poll workers said at the time, at least 10% of our town voted in the morning, and we were there midday. Yeah, we're hoping to win on election night as soon as the polls open. I already have a commanding lead where they say we're calling this for Trump. Like, wouldn't that be amazing? And as soon all over the country, as soon as the polls open, they're immediately calling things for Trump, calling it. That's the only way we can do it. I think that's the only way we can do it. I think that's how we fight back. I'm kind of with Vivek on, I like, we should have a national holiday on election day and everybody goes and votes. The lines would be insane. I mean, that's problematic as well. I don't know what the solution is entirely. I know that some of these things have to go. These ballot boxes, ballot harvesting, non-citizens on voter rolls, waiting days after for out of country ballots to come in. You should have to get your ballot in by election day or it's not counted, period. And you just set up a special group to do, out of country ballots. I don't know. We're smart people. We can figure this stuff out. It's the corrupt people that want to complicate things. It's the corrupt people that want to make it all like, oh, well, we can't do it that way. We have to do this. And, we can't use voter ID. It's always the corrupt people that are up to the bullshit. That's what you just call it. No. We're not doing any bullshit here. We're going to keep it nice and easy and simple. Do it the right way. Do it the ways that nobody can rig it and everybody should be happy. Right? When we vote in our major party in Australia, that is, we have to go to a voting location and have them mark our name off. Then we cast our vote, nothing by mail. Awesome. We need to get back to doing that as well. We need, all this bullshit is just rigging the game. A few weeks ago here in Michigan, I received an application for a mail-in ballot in the mail, unrequested. I ripped it in half and threw it away. Absolutely. I'm going to keep an eye on my mailbox every day. And I keep a bunch of junk mail in there too. Like just total, just mayhem in there. Like right now. So so I get the daily mail on top and pull it in and just keep all the junk mail out there. I don't bring that shit in the house anyways. I usually just roll the trash can out there and dump it all in every now and then. But I'm making it look very hard to go through. So someone would notice somebody mess with my mailbox. However, if we do not vote, we get fined $80. So fucked. Yeah, man, it's mandatory voting. You better vote or they're gonna take your $80, man. What's up, Outpost? How you doing? Welcome to the show. All right. Yep. There you go. You can help support Outpost right there. Obunga has the gall to get on stage and say, how did things get so divided? Right? I know. Always. It's like, I didn't do it. What happened? Oh man. Did you watch Andre? Did you watch Dreams from My Real Father when we watched it? I can't remember if you were there or not. That was that guy and his cultural Marxism, man. He's just he's the one who started all the division. We are the only first world nation where it takes weeks to count the vote. I know, isn't that crazy? That's one of my ideas too. National Voters Day. Everyone has a day off like New Year's. Yep, paid vacation, one day. Let's go. Hopefully people will take that and not try to make it a 4-day weekend or something. But and they go to vote. I mean, we have to make sure that people understand the importance of it and teach your kids. My kid always goes with me to vote. He has ever since. Every time I've gone to vote, he goes with me. I look forward to seeing that degenerate Anderson Cooper turn pale under his makeup again. Me too. Me too. Every other nation can do it in a day. I know somehow the most advanced and most free, prosperous nation on earth can't seem to get it done in one day. I wonder what that is. I wonder if that's because we have a corrupt establishment that's been ruling over us our entire life. Old Anderson looked like that last time Trump won. I cannot wait for the hope. Cannot wait for the freakouts. All right, let's get to these polls.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you guys like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So we have 11 days to go before Election Day. People are already voting in many states. I encourage people to get out and vote if they haven't already. Take people with you. This thing is far from over, even though a lot of the data we have looks good for Donald Trump. And it couldn't really come at a better time. And we're seeing Democrats panic. We're seeing Democrats in total and complete disarray. And another thing that's kind of backing up the trajectory of the race is the national polling. Now, keep in mind, this day in history, if you look at 2020, Joe Biden led by 8 percentage points. Hillary Clinton in 2016 led by 5 percentage points. Kamala Harris and Donald Trump were tied today in the popular vote before Rasmussen decided to do a little bit of trolling and drop a Harris +1 that tomorrow probably ends up going back to a tie or Trump +1 or you name it. So they're virtually in a dead heat as things stand today. You have less than 4% undecided. Some of that's going to go third party. Harris has not really done a lot to win or galvanize undecided voters. In fact, she's lost support when Donald Trump has ended up gaining support compared to a couple of weeks ago. And we've talked a lot about this because the national polling both times has underestimated Donald Trump. And even in the midterms, it underestimated Republicans in the national vote by, 0.3 percentage points or so. So looking at that, it begs the question, if the polls are this close, could Donald Trump actually win the national popular vote?
I think he can. I mean, what do you guys think? You guys feeling it? You guys feeling it? I'm feeling national popular vote, especially with all this steel stopping we're doing, right? Everybody's on mission right now, man. It's so good to see. We just have to be highly tenacious and finish this out strong. Like whistle, play to the whistle, play to the whistle, full strength. Sprint to the finish line. That's what we got to do. By the way, let me ask again, since everybody out there, has anybody heard anything about the Rogan Trump interview? I'm still looking around as these things are playing to see when it's going to air. Like, I really want to cover that. And like, basically what'll happen is when I find out what time it's going to go, if it's tonight, we'll end the stream and I'll put up another stream real quick that'll just be for that. Right. And then I'll add some stuff to it. I have a feeling, regardless, on YouTube that they're going to censor it. So it probably will going to be one of those Rumble exclusives. I don't know, but I'm still going to play it on YouTube no matter what. Have you guys heard anything? You guys really help me out. Help me find out when this thing's going to drop. Nobody seems to know anything. I keep checking Spotify. I'm refreshing YouTube. I'm looking around. If anybody can help me investigate when the Rogan Trump interview is gonna go off, that would be a huge help, man. It really would. I really need help with this. So if we're all looking, maybe someone will find it and we'll have an idea of when it is. What I don't want to do is miss it. Or I don't mind combining it with this one. I want to title it right and put it out there. So it reach, we can pull them, most people come watch it with us, right? So let me know what you find. Let's get back to this polling. So popular vote, could it be possible? Then they can't complain at all, can they?
And if so, Democrats are kind of coming around to the notion that it's possible, but can he win the popular vote and lose in the Electoral College? We're going to dive into this a little bit further. We're going to play a little bit of Harry Ensign on CNN, where he kind of explains this phenomenon, but kind of misses the point, because we understand they're not going to say the truth entirely in front of the audience at CNN. But first, really quickly, I got to tell you guys about my merch store, because it's only going to be here for one more week. The 2024 election drop is here. We're doing a limited time special where you can buy one, get one 20% off all t-shirts, tank tops, and coffee mugs. We have great designs. We have the Make Cats Safe Again merchandise. We have the Make America Gain Again design, the Trump mugshot design, all the original designs as well. And you can buy a t-shirt and you can get a coffee mug for 20% off. I highly recommend the Trump Iconic Black mug. It's our bestseller. It's my favorite mug. 5-star reviews across the board on the website. High quality. You got the Trump design on the front, the bullet with the American flag with the ear, and then on the back you have the epic inspirational quote. Great merchandise. Everybody that's bought it loves it, even the skeptics. I encourage you guys to check it out. The link will be in the description and pinned comment down below. So we have the national polling, and you also have the state polling, which is interesting because the state polls have really underestimated Trump in the Midwest. And we talk about Donald Trump building up a firewall. Democrats love to talk about, oh, we're going to have X amount of early voting firewall in these states. And in terms of what's actually happening in places like Arizona, even in Nevada, Republicans are actually the ones building up a firewall. But if you look at the electoral map talking about electoral votes, Republicans, as things stand, if things continue on the trajectory, which it's not over and people need to get out and vote and all that's true, but you look at the trajectory of the race, Donald Trump is building up a firewall where he is very likely to nab at least 268 electoral votes. The states that are kind of in question, you have Pennsylvania, where they do register by party, but a lot of the votes going to come on election day, and Donald Trump is likely going to win that vote. The question is, by how much is he going to win it by? And then you have Michigan and Wisconsin, which are a little bit more murky. Democrats are trying to spin the data to be like positive for them, but as time has gone on in Michigan, it's not as good as it was, a few weeks ago for them, just like Pennsylvania. Wisconsin, Republicans in the in-person early vote in these Republican areas are posting very big numbers, and that's true. So that's really what Trump needs to do to win the Electoral College. He needs to win one of those 3 Rust Belt states. Kamala Harris needs all 3 of them, which is a major, major problem for her because it's a hell of a lot easier to go 1 for 3 than to go 3 for 3. And that doesn't even take into account the underlying fundamentals of this race, which we've covered at length and will continue to cover at length on this channel. But I wanted to play this clip or parts of this clip from Harry Enton over at CNN because he's acknowledging what's going on. CNN in 2020, they had a poll, their final poll had Biden plus 12. They were off by 7.5 points in favor of Biden. And now they dropped a poll today, and it was a dead heat tie. And if you put it on the swingometer, which breaks it down by demographics, Donald Trump wins handily. Like, he wins to the point where we would call it before midnight, and he would sweep the board in the swing states. And some states would be very, very close, like Virginia, which you would not anticipate to usually be that close. So looking at what's going on here in the CNN clip, we'll play this right here.
Which we really haven't focused upon. A very, very tight race, John. Fact is, Donald Trump is very much in a position he could win the popular vote, which, of course, is something he would absolutely love to do.
And would be something very different than we have seen compared to last time and the polling compared to last time.
And this is true because the popular vote cutoff in the last election cycle was roughly around 4 percentage points, where Donald Trump needed to, I guess you would say, get it within 4 to win the popular vote. You could even argue, depending on trends, it would be above that, depending on which voters would go in his column before other voters. But that's just saying move all states by this much. This is what happens. And that was probably somewhere around a little bit more than 2 points, actually, like 2.5 points, maybe closer to 3 in 2016. And you actually had the inverse the previous couple cycles because of Obama's strength in the Midwest and because Romney and McCain didn't really have appeal to that region. But, in the Trump era where he runs it up with these working class white voters in the Rust Belt, that's kind of where you see this shift. Now, it is true, Donald Trump is doing better with other demographics that are not really, in the highest concentration in those states, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the, popular vote shift is going to come back, crashing down to the point where Donald Trump needs to win the popular vote by X amount to win the election in the Electoral College. And if the national polling is remotely accurate, Donald Trump should be in a phenomenal position right now, because I still think that bias cutoff, it's not going to be 4 points again, because yes, Donald Trump doing better with Hispanic voters isn't really going to help him in a state like Wisconsin. It will help him in Nevada and Arizona and help him win those states, but maybe not so much in Wisconsin. But that doesn't mean that Trump isn't going to win Wisconsin, because he's still doing very well with other demographics, and we'll get to that. But there is another part of this clip here where he basically claims that Donald Trump could lose the Electoral College while winning the popular vote, which is kind of absurd.
Donald Trump. But on the flip side of that, a potentially good sign for Democrats is, why is Donald Trump doing so well in the popular vote polls? You can dig down into the state level polling, and you can see that Donald Trump is doing particularly well in California, Florida, New York, and Texas. Of course, none of these states are really on the board at this point. So Donald Trump may end up gaining in the national popular vote polls, but actually he's wasting votes, which could in fact lead to a case where Kamala Harris could sneak by in the Electoral College by sweeping those Great Lake battleground states, which at this point are way too close to call, John.
That's just not going to happen. It would be very, very difficult. And I kind of wanted to show it because we have the election shuffler here, which isn't perfect because different states are going to have different turnout levels than 2020. But I just wanted to, break it down and say, okay, California, let's say if Trump is really doing better in California, let's say he somehow by some miracle gets California to be like a 21 point loss. which according to certain early data, it's not completely implausible. He sees a massive improvement in California because that early vote data there is a little bit more indicative, although it's true. Is he going to get some of those Orange County like Republicans back? If he does, he probably is going to end up winning the election because, that demographic, if he's really improving back to like 2016 margins in terms of what he's losing among, college educated whites, then there's virtually no path for Kamala Harris. And that's kind of the thing. And it does carry over depending on, what state you're talking about. But already you see California massive shift, the biggest state. It only moves the popular vote by that much. Now, let's say in Texas, he manages to run up the score in Texas and he manages to win the state by, let's just say like his 2016 margins or so. We could even just give him like just trying to make sure we get the right data point here, somewhere around like an 8 or 9 point win. Okay, there we go. Now, Florida's another one, which Donald Trump, the early vote data is ridiculously good for Republicans. Let's say Trump improves by like 10 points in Florida, somewhere around there. He wins the state by like 13, which it's not implausible at this point, but it sounds outlandish. So already there. And let's talk about the state of New York right here, because New York is definitely a big state and Trump is improving in the polls there. Let's say he improves by like, let's even say 10 points or so, give or take 10 points. So we'll try to put it somewhere around there. Perfect. So already you look at the popular vote, it's 2.02%. So the bias can move, but you're giving Trump ridiculous shares in some of these states. And it's not enough to flip the popular vote outright or to change that dynamic. And then you look at Illinois, where, maybe we'll say that Trump does make ridiculous gains there. Let's say he gets it even down to just like an 11-point loss or so, somewhere in that ballpark. You're seeing where it's going. It's still 1.79. And of course, you will see like a 5-point shift to the right on average in every state if the popular vote is going to go in Trump's column from 2020 as well. And that needs to be taken into consideration. But regardless, the point is that if the popular vote is within 1 or even within 2, and we're giving a lot of room for Donald Trump to grow in the popular vote in these deep red or blue, heavily populated states, still he's likely going to win the election overall. Because if you're doing better with, let's say, certain demographics that exist in high numbers in like suburban LA or suburban Chicago or suburban New York City, even if they're not perfectly aligned with those in Pennsylvania, it is true that Donald Trump is probably winning Pennsylvania. If he's doing that well in upstate New York, for example, where you have a lot of those voters that are kind of like those Irish voters, or some of these areas have like Polish voters, and that carries over to Pennsylvania. You look at the sub-demography, it is very similar. A lot of working class voters who may have voted for Trump in 2016 and Biden in 2020. Donald Trump, if he's winning them back in Rhode Island and parts of New York and Long Island, and he'll probably pick off some new voters in the state of New York, that's going to carry over to Pennsylvania. This is not a midterm year. This is a presidential year. If he's doing much better in New York City, as he even did in 2020, he's going to improve in the city of Philadelphia, as he did in 2020 by like 4 points. And it's not talked about a lot, but there's a lot of room to grow there for Republicans. So overall, the bottom line is, when you look at this, is it possible that the popular vote electoral college gap is going to shrink because Trump's doing a lot better with certain minority groups? Yes, I do believe that advantage is going to shrink because of the big states that we see. If not, it's game over for Kamala Harris. It's not even close unless there's a ridiculous polling error the other way, which would not really add up with the early vote data and the voting patterns that Democrats typically have. But what I will say is that there's virtually zero shot that Donald Trump wins the popular vote, but loses the entire election, because he's probably going to go 1 for 3 at a minimum in these states by at least 1 vote if he's doing that well in all of these, blue states, especially because of how close the Rust Belt was in 2020, where in Wisconsin, you saw it essentially neck and neck. Michigan, I think Trump has a lot of room to grow, but even then, it is the bluest of those 3, but I still think he's got a decent shot just based off of his unique appeal and the current state of the economy and the issues that are important there. And obviously things like sub-demographic trends. And then Pennsylvania, Biden's out of the picture. You have Kamala Harris, who has no ties to the area, no ties to the Philadelphia media market or northeastern Pennsylvania. And then you have Donald Trump, who essentially almost lost his life in Butler, Pennsylvania, and is doing everything in his power to win the state by campaigning hard there down the stretch. Yet it's unlikely, is what I'm saying. It's very unlikely. It's a freak accident scenario if Trump wins that popular vote, or even if it's like within half a point, which it very well could be. Donald Trump is going to have probably a 95% at a minimum, if not 99% chance at winning the presidential election. And you can look at the swingometer here. It's very unlikely you could even find some sort of scenario. You'd have to flip the demographics on their head. If black turnout is low, if it gets down to like 11% of the electorate, which could happen depending on what we've seen in some of these states like Georgia and North Carolina. And let's say Trump does gain significantly with that demographic, it does carry over to Pennsylvania. It does carry over to Wisconsin as well. So if he's running it up in those places, he probably has at least a higher floor. And if he's doing worse with white college grads, that's definitely something that you could say would hurt him, but still it's not going to necessarily be enough for him to win the popular vote at that point. He's at least got to hold his own. And even if it's 43-55, he's likely going to improve a lot with the white working class voters if he's going to lose ground with college whites and then manage to come close in the popular vote. And at that point, he would be winning the Rust Belt 3 in its entirety. So when you look at the demographics and you look at trends, there's virtually no scenario, barring something insane, where Donald Trump loses the popular voter, even if it's like within 1. Because I think if it's like, 1.8, 1.9, maybe a gray area depending on how well he does in some of these big states. But even then, I think it's a little bit iffy that it doesn't carry over given the fact it's a presidential year. But if the popular vote's this close, you're not seeing Trump lose. I will say that. Now, it doesn't mean the polls are right, and it does mean people need to get out and vote and continue doing what we've been doing, because our numbers are great so far, but you don't get to celebrate at the 1 yard line. You don't get to take your foot off the gas for about another 11 and a half days or so, and then we can watch the results come in. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description.
Let's see. I saw that one. Okay. Go back to this playlist over there. So that's good news. Even though it's not good, it is good news of the week. Why not? Let me see anything in here. Oops, wrong one. Popping up here. No. All right. Let's see. Let's go check back in this group over here. Got that. Good. All right. Here we go. More undercover investigation. More of the rig watch here. Social media rig watch. Here we go. Bringing back in James O'Keefe. Matthew Fowler, software engineer, manager of Meta. Supposed to be doing it right this time there, Zuckerberg. Usually the misinformation we saw was pro-Trump.
Usually the misinformation we saw was pro-Trump. Let's go investigate, and then it goes up to another team to take it down.
Okay, so like the mainstream media does the job for you guys.
Basically.
Okay.
Meet Matthew Fowler, a software engineer at Meta. If you thought we just had one Meta insider come forward, think again. We're going to introduce you to a handful of other Meta subjects. Meta employees love our journalists. Let's introduce you to our next Meta subject, Michael Zura. He too spoke about their efforts to censor conservatives, sharing that most fact checkers label conservative posts as false.
The vast majority of what fact checkers label as false is shared by conservatives. And so any policy that demotes content that is labeled false by fact checkers is going to disproportionately affect conservatives.
Now for our last subject of Playman Jailpov, who also holds the title of engineer at Meta, the Meta engineer reveals right-wing people on Meta are either censored or flagged as disinformation on their site.
Meta has the right to suppress anything.
Yeah, but it seems like they're biased if they do that.
So
Republicans. I personally don't care. But
yeah. So do you guys actually suppress those crazy conspiracy right-wing people when they post just absolute garbage?
Like I said, I think it's it's either censored or it says a community note thing where it says if this is disinformation, it's probably fake, blah, 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 under the post.
Well, here we go. The market has plunged again. The writing is on the wall. It's time to take action. The elites and big banks are pulling link and phone number in my bio. Just had one Meta insider come forward. Think again. We're going to introduce you to a handful of other Meta subjects who had plenty to say about Meta's censoring practices.
The news is going to do their job, and then based on what the outlets say, I'm sure they're going to basically...
Okay, so the mainstream media does the job for you guys.
Basically.
Okay.
Meet Matthew Fowler, a software engineer at Meta. During an undercover date with our OMG journalist, Matthew Fowler reveals how Meta handles disinformation.
Usually the disinformation we saw was pro-Trump.
So let's say if they have a dangerous rhetoric, right? I don't know, it's like some kind of, I don't know, pro-Republican bullshit, let's say, right?
Yeah.
Let's say like they're saying, like, oh, illegals are killing, like, and eating all the dogs and cats. So that's something that you guys investigate and you take that down.
So we don't take it down. We'll, like,
Oh, you investigate, sorry.
we'll investigate, and then it goes. If that's to another team, take it down.
Fowler also expressed concern about Meta's political landscape, admitting, quote, pretty much everyone I know there is liberal.
I think like Meta is more kind of like more democratic, more patriotic.
More people, yeah, pretty much everyone I know there is liberal.
What is Zuck doing? Is he
Playing the game.
Do you think he's like distancing himself from like the Democrats?
I think he's distancing himself from everyone. He's trying to play the games based on who's going to win the election.
Now, let's introduce you to our next Meta subject, Michael Zurab. Zurab is a data scientist at Meta, and like his other Meta counterparts, he too spoke about their efforts to censor conservatives, sharing that most fact checkers label conservative posts as false.
The vast majority of what fact checkers label as false is shared by conservatives. And so any policy that like demotes content that is labeled false by fact checkers is going to disproportionately affect conservatives.
But why are they labeled as false? Is it because they're inherently false, or they are just the fact checkers have inherent biases?
I mean, it's probable. Like, I doubt the fact checkers are completely unbiased.
Zurab also shared to our OMG American Swiper that most fact checkers at Meta are liberal coated.
Would you say most of your fact checkers are like liberal?
I mean, they're like mainstream media, so I think that would be liberal coded. So the Hunter Biden story, the Hunter Biden laptop story is one example. And so apparently they're like, FBI, I think, like told Mark or told Meta, like, hey, there's this big story that's going to release and the Russians are involved with it. And then like the next day, this Hunter Biden laptop story comes out in the New York Post. And so Meta like reduced the dissemination of that post on Facebook. Like through ranking, like we just downranked it.
Oh, I see.
So it just appeared on people's feeds less.
So the question is, can you really be a fact checker if you are liberal coated? Now, for our last subject of Playman Jailpov, who also holds the title of engineer at Meta, he too decided to meet with an OMG American Swiper. Meta employees love our journalists. Quite fascinating. The Meta engineer reveals right-wing people on Meta are either censored or flagged as disinformation on their site.
Meta has the right to suppress anything.
Yeah, but it seems like they're biased if they do that.
So like,
I personally don't care, but
yeah.
That's what they think.
But I mean, does Meta can Meta censor anyone?
I think they can because it's a private company.
So do you guys actually suppress those like crazy conspiracy right-wing people when they post like just absolute garbage?
Like I said, I think it's like it's either censored or it says like a community note thing where it says like if this is disinformation, it's probably fake, blah, 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 under the post.
Now, we're only a couple weeks from a presidential election here at OMG. We have just uncovered one of the most damning stories of 2024 regarding a social media company trying to sow influence on political discourse. If anything, we need to always hold those in power account, including the media, including the tech companies. If you're on the inside of these companies or inside the government, we urge you to speak out and shine a light on the corruption happening inside your company.
Do.
Contact us at tips.o'keefemediagroup.com or send us a DM on Instagram or X. We'll have an OMG journalist reach out to you as soon as possible, and stay tuned. Does anyone...
Oh, yeah, dude. This is how we win. Gotta unrig the game, man. We gotta expose how it's rigged. That's how we do it, guys. That's how we do it. Oh, yeah, man. So much going on. Wow. Wow. Let's see what's going on with this one right here. All right. Looking down the playlists here. All right, that's the one we did last night. Okay. Yeah, man. I used to use YouTube only to listen to music and church sermons until the Depp trial. I got you. They got a lot of people into the LiveStream community, that's for sure. I only started using Twitter when Elon bought it to test it. You know, I had an account there, and then I was like, they started doing a bunch of bullshit, and I was like, okay, I'm done with this. And then Elon bought it, and I came back. So I did the same thing, kind of. Yeah, I'm off Facebook. Fakebook too. Yeah, delete Fakebook. Stop using Fakebook. I mean, delete it. Yeah, life goes better. Yeah, all the people I know that are on there are all just TDS. I know one person that has a group where all the base people went, and they all just hide in the group now and just post stuff in there because everybody that we knew from the scene around here and so on, and even my college friends are all just like, bleh! They're all like, Trump. Man, they're so far gone. And I used to work the Facebook scene back in the Ron Paul days, then that's when it was like you could actually post stuff and have conversations with people and get information to people. And still, even then it was hard. Even then, that's where the info war was going on full force back in the Ron Paul days. And they started implementing all kinds of other bullshit. And I was like, no, they're going to eventually take this to a place that is not going to be good. So I stopped before it got that bad. Literally, when I was promoting Ron Paul, and I was calling out the neocons, everybody loved it, right? But as soon as I turned on Obama, they were all like, "What are you doing, Obama?" Man, that's when I started to see the light, really, about the mind control aspect of things. I'm like, reasonable people, now they're not listening. How did that happen? How do they just suddenly turn off like that? There has to be more to it. How did people that I know for so long completely just turn off? 7 hours ago, Pennsylvania County says election workers flagged 2,500 possible fraudulent vote registrations. I think we covered that. Yeah, I mean, and at that point, I was like, this isn't going to work. All it's going to do is it's going to be endless arguments and comments, and that's not going anywhere at all. And that's what. And then in Ron Paul, the neocons pulled their games and made sure the establishment media pulled their games and made sure that he didn't get the nomination. And I was like, okay, we got to reset here. And of course, Obama went on for a second term. And I said, well, we got to see what's going to come next, right? And I had no idea that Trump was on the way. So I thought we'd be behind Rand Paul at that point. But he came out, and Trump came out, and in his first debate won me over. He went right after the establishment media, and I was like, boom, that's what we've been needing. That's what's been missing, And he's financing his own campaign. There's never going to be any that influence. Just a little bit more vetting to make sure he was the real deal, and I was in. I was like, this is what we've been waiting for. Someone's going to call out the establishment media, and call out the rigged game. That's what it's all about. Let's see. Let's see what we got here. Okay. Did that one already. Just looking through my playlist here that I've put together for tonight's show. I'm pretty much close. Torch ballots. That was a good one. We don't need any more of that one. Let's do a quick refresh here on the main page. Right here. No, there's a little bit of an update on that. Question, Democrat volunteer or 1 day ago questions. Okay, no, we don't need that one. Let's see. Yeah, guys. Let's see. Not gonna lie, people are more unhinged than ever. Yeah, it's gonna get like that. It really is. What do you guys think about the idea of chaos on election day? You think that's all talk, or you think people are actually gonna like flip out? I think it's gonna be like 2016. A lot of crying. They're gonna try to do a protest and stuff like that, and they're gonna have their cope and seethe moments, right? But then at that point we just have to get through to the inauguration day. That's gonna be like, I feel if we're going to be feeling very confident, but we're gonna have to keep an eye and make sure that nothing gets in the way of that inauguration. Like we talked about that last night too. We talked about how we have to really keep an eye out for any kind of shenanigans with the government itself, like the people that are up there, that the establishment trying to pull some grifts on that day, trying to say he's an insurrectionist and you can't certify him, and they're gonna do all this stuff, and Kamala's got lawyers ready. If she doesn't win, she's gonna protest and all this shit, right? That's why it has to be so overwhelming and they can't do anything. That's why we're really pushing hard to make sure everybody votes, to make sure that we get our votes in as soon as we can, so that they can't You know, like I said, it'd be so great. Oh, you know what? I have this old video. Let me see if I can find it. It would be so great if on election night, as soon as the polls close, they're like Trump, calling it for Trump, because we got so many votes in ahead of time, they can't deny the fact that he's going to win. Election 2024. Let's see, 2024. Man, let's see if I can find this. I bet it's buried because I've been aggregating, collecting so much news over time. But I had this like real quick thing that goes with what I'm talking about. I wonder if I can just look it up. More on the Kamala Harris Is She a Black thing from Candace Owens. It's pretty much, I did have something on that actually. Where did I save it? That was good. That was a good one where a woman who knew her grandmother said, they showed her a picture of the book that Kamala put out, and she goes, "Oh no, that's not her. Here it is, right here." This is a good one too.
Infants born alive after botched abortions. The media has dubbed this the abortion election. In the water, after us. We called her. What is she going to say that is possibly going to be accepted? And will the press do their job now? Stop pretending this is a conspiracy and recognize that this woman put on blackface because she wants to win the election. Megan Thee Stallion, I'm calling you every person who twerked.
Candace is going on.
Very handsome.
Okay, here we go. This woman actually knew.
Beryl, moved there.
But
before that, everyone who lived there, and even as a child growing up,
her grandmother, right? And so she put this picture of this woman. We've seen it before, right? Very dark woman. In her book, it said, "This is me with my grandma," right? And so she goes into this big long explanation, but I think this is the part.
Most of the residents were connected in some way
She knew
on
her
my mother's
as a little girl.
father's side, my grandfather's side, where they were all related. But Miss Beryl, my darling, also had a son. He was called Kenneth, and Kenneth had a motorbike, the equivalent of what we would now call a Harley Davidson, and of course. So at the time I would have been no more than 4 or 5. I'm not interested in what make your bike is. And he would put me on the front of the bike, whenever I came past with Uncle Cecil, and I would sit there and he would switch the engine on. And of course, looking back now, I realized the bike never moved, but he just held on to me. And I thought I was riding a bike, and I grew up absolutely loving motorbikes. He was very handsome. Oh, Beryl must have had some money. Her son has the equivalent of a Harley Davidson. He was very handsome. He's got riding around on his motorbike. What are we talking about here? Like I said, this is when I knew that this woman was dialed in, because I had never spoken about Kenneth publicly, not for any particular reason. I just literally hadn't gotten around to it as I've been collecting all of this evidence to present to the public on Kamala's family and looking into Enid and looking into Kenneth. So very interesting. Again, sounds like this Beryl had a lot of money. It's just not giving the person that is pictured in Kamala's book. Now, of course, naturally, Kamala Harris then comes up in this conversation, and Dorothy keeps this same positive energy. She's very positive, right? She has a spirit about her. She has this fond memory, delightful. She's delightful in her approach about Beryl, and she's delightful in her approach about Kamala and Kamala's features. She really likes Kamala's facial features. I'll tell you why. Take a listen. And Mrs. Beryl, by the way, I see Vice President Harris on the box. I sit up straight and I think, my God, she looks so much like Miss Beryl. Her facial features. The only thing is Miss Beryl was much smaller in stature, but
if Miss Beryl, because Kamala is very fair skinned, right? Was Beryl fair skinned?
Yes, she was.
She was.
She was. She was fair skinned.
Did you hear that? Fair skinned. Oh, is it? Okay. Yeah, I've had this one for a while. I just haven't been able to get to it. But yeah, fair skinned.
She was. Okay.
Yes, she's very fair.
This woman here was skeptical. She thinks she had her on to kind of prove the point that the woman in the book was the person she said she was, the very dark person who she said it was named with Beryl, right? But the Candace is probably, look at her face. her proposition is that she took a picture with the help and called it her grandmother. And so that's what she's been on a mission to prove.
With black hair.
Really?
Yes.
Oh,
So she was so fair skinned that now that I'm older and I can spot people by their skin coloring, etc. For me, I would say there was something Irish there.
How interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say somewhere along the line, she would have had ancestors that were Irish. Yes.
Actually, can I show you a photograph?
Of course.
Here we go. Here we go.
An old lady.
Yes.
And some people speculate that this is Miss Burial.
Right.
So, sorry.
That's okay.
I am so on technological.
Okay.
It's just pathetic.
Yeah.
There we go.
Did you hold up the picture? Hold on, I'll get down out of the way here.
Nah, that's not Miss Beryl.
That's not Miss Beryl.
That's definitely not Miss Beryl.
Okay.
That's not Miss Beryl.
So
and
I think you have to just show.
Yeah.
So
that is not Miss Beryl.
So she's showing the same picture Candace was showing back here. She's holding it up right there. See it? That's what she's looking at.
Not Miss Beryl.
That's not Miss Beryl.
That's definitely not Miss Beryl.
Okay.
That's not Miss Beryl.
So
and
I think you have to just show.
Yeah.
So
that is not Miss Beryl.
That's
not
not Miss Beryl.
Definitely not Miss Beryl.
Okay.
And I know what she looks like. I couldn't have been in a dream, and she definitely did not look like that.
There's another person, but could that be Miss Beryl?
No, that's not
That's
Miss
not
Beryl.
Miss Beryl
That's not
either.
Miss Beryl either.
Then show another picture. She said that's not Miss Beryl either.
Okay.
Don't know who that is.
Okay.
That's not Miss Beryl. That ain't Miss Beryl. You know, as you were describing the fair skin and looking like Kamala, I was thinking this can't be the Miss Beryl grandma that's in Kamala's book. And clearly you see Lady C's going, wait, fair skin? What? Maybe is this? Nope, that's not Miss Beryl. I didn't dream. That's not Miss Beryl.
Wasn't
Yeah,
dreaming.
that sounds about right. You're saying Irish. And that's funny because Judge Joe Brown had a very distinct memory that Donald Harris told him that he was Irish and Hindu. And things are starting to add up, not in Kamala Harris's favor. And I don't know what to say here, ladies and gentlemen, other than I am truly, untypically speechless. I don't think I possess within me the adequate vocabulary to discuss my distaste for a woman who borrowed a Black person for her autobiography so that she could secure the Black vote. Do you understand how fundamentally racist that is? Do you understand how despicable that is? I mean, you have to be the worst kind of political vermin to borrow a Black person to put in your book to present to the public as your grandma, who definitively was not your white Irish grandma. Okay, I don't have the word. I need someone to throw me a thesaurus so I can find it. I need to expand my vocabulary to be able to legitimately express my disgust for Kamala Harris and my now general disgust for any person who supports this woman or from here on out purports that she is the first Black anything, okay? She is beyond despicable. This woman has no soul. You have to have no soul to do that. And if my instincts are correct, the person that she is showing is indeed someone she knows and is likely, like I said from the very beginning, the help. The help who would have taken on the name of the people who they worked for. It's very common. This is why you talk about having slave names. You take on the last name, the first name. When we saw that woman who was listed looking for a housekeeper position that said Beryl or Christie, it is my suspicion that this was the help, meaning this was likely the woman that was working for the wealthy Miss Beryl who was buying her children Harley Davidsons. I mean, it's just, this should end her chances at the White House. If we have any sort of moral sensibility in this country, you would never allow a person like this to assume office, because if she is willing to lie like this, if she is willing to, this is essentially the worst kind.
This would totally flip so many Black votes if they actually were to watch this and just that one little clip right there, proving that that's not her grandmother and that her grandmother is really light skinned, because they're already sus. A lot of them are already kind of sus about it. A lot of them are already no way, and a lot of them are already there's something going on here that ain't right.
A blackface. Okay. This is what you are seeing now. Kamala Harris is in fact a minstrel show. She said, I'm running for president. Okay. What am I going to do? I'm just going to blackify myself. Fake aunties, fake uncle photos. Oh, I actually just called them. What is she going to say to this? Is she going to come out now and say, oh, when I said Grandma Beryl, I meant that's just what we called her affectionately, Grandma Beryl, as she was doing our laundry and picking up after us. We called her. What is she going to say? that is possibly going to be accepted? And will the press do their job now? Stop pretending this is a conspiracy and recognize that this woman put on blackface because she wants to win the election. Megan Thee Stallion, I'm calling you, every person who twerked, danced,
And
applauded,
everybody
said to
backed
the
her
public,
up.
this is a black woman. It is now incumbent upon you to take a step back, examine what we have revealed, and to take it back. Take everything you said back about this woman. Apologize for platforming her, for believing this. It's fine. I'll accept the apology, but keep the exact same energy. Oh, she's black. Okay. Now that you know that she's not, you should be angry and you should present these facts to the public and to your followers and to your fan base. Like I said, I am shocked. I'm not shocked, but I am shocked. You know what I'm saying? Like, I am not surprised. It was inevitable. I was never going to let go. Like, I pretty much knew that I was on the right track. Her silence about the matter was deafening. The removal of everything seemed very suspicious. No longer speaking about her blackness seemed very suspicious. Now she's too highbrow. I'm not even going to address. You know why you're not going to address it? Because you're not black. You are not black. You never have been black a day in your life.
That's true.
You truly disgust me. I want you to know that you are filth. Kamala Harris is filth. Lady C was similarly shocked, gobsmacked, as she put it. Take a listen.
And gobsmacked. Absolutely gobsmacked. And it then begs the question, did she seriously think she was going to be able to get away with this?
She did.
Ooh.
I mean, I know Candace Owens has been going hell for leather on this, and Candace Owens is clearly black. So this is not about anti-blackness, because as you could see, Dorothy is not white.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I'm just stunned that any ambitious politician would present as a grandparent of hers, and Kamala Harris is very fair-skinned. Whether she calls herself black or brown, she's still fair-skinned. But she definitely has black blood. So to that extent, it's not anything artificial. What does seem to be extraordinary is the creation of a black grandmother when her grandmother was of color but wasn't black. And she just did she get somebody off the street and pop them in the photograph? Was it a helper? Was it who was
the lights
this woman?
going off for this one?
It boggles the imagination.
Bet.
Don't you worry. Leave it with me, Lady C. From one Lady C to another, I'm going to get to the bottom of who that woman is in the picture, and I'm going to get to the bottom of who the Irish barrel actually is, because here's what happens now. Blood is in the water, my friends, okay? If you watch the full interview, you should cut over to Lady C's YouTube channel and watch the entire thing. That woman gave a ton of accidental clues about the Irish barrel that we are now looking for. She excelled at mathematics. She built a home. She resembles Kamala Harris. She had black hair. She owned a store which specialized in making bustas. Now we can refocus our attention and look for the true barrel, the white-looking barrel. And we are going to be able to find that person. I sense it. Now, like I said, there is way too much information out there. And we need to put tremendous amounts of pressure for Kamala Harris to respond. Because like I said, you have to be borderline psychopathic to do what she did. Do you understand? Just take a pause here and recognize how demented you have to be, okay, to approve the printing of a book with a photo featuring a photo of who you purport is your grandma barrel. You standing next to a woman who was likely cleaning your dirty underwear. Okay, likely. That's what I think. I feel it in my soul that that's who these women were that were pictured in here. This woman doesn't recognize Iris. Grandma Iris was the second photo she showed. We zoomed in on it. She doesn't recognize anyone. Dorothy's going, I don't know who these people are. Okay, you have to be utterly demented, hell-bent on power. You will stop at nothing to achieve power if you have no shame. If you have no shame, knowing that you come from a long line of slave owners, that you would then appropriate the identity of a real black woman so that you can what? Re-enslave black people in America today. That's exactly why she's doing it. She is disturbed. Okay. Like I said, this is now a beginning. We get to refocus our attentions. I have a ton of suspicions. I truly believe that I was on the right track when I examined the same thing for Christiana Brown. I believe they're lying about who Christiana Brown is. And I'm going to find both of these women. What do we have? 18, 19 days until the election. I'm not letting go, guys. I'm just email me if you find any information, info@candaceowens.com. You know where we will be. This woman is not going to get away with.
Thank you. She's done a great job. did a great job. Let's jump over here. I'm kind of like waiting to see if Gary's going to go live tonight because I wanted to redirect to him. I sent him a text message, so I'm going to see if he might have time to answer it. If he's trying to get his stream together, he probably won't. So I got one more thing here we can play, and if I don't hear anything or have a redirect, then we'll just go ahead and call it for the night. And I'll be back tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern for Wedding Saturday Night. But let's take a look at this real quick from where are we at? The breaking. This one. Okay, yeah, I should have known to look for the red siren. It's your boy Benny. Let's go.
Well, thank you for your ballot, good citizen. I'll just run that through our vote counting software. Scan your marks, change this T to a B, dot the I, and it's gone.
What's up, guys? Boy Benny. The monsters are real. Okay, it's Halloween in my neighborhood. People have up some spooky decorations. And I walk my little kids by their house and I explain when they get scared that these aren't real. Okay, they pretend, they're make-believe, they're plastic actually from China. Okay, and Home Depot. These aren't real monsters. Okay, and I explain that to my little kids and they go about their merry little way. But there are some monsters who are actually real. There's some things that aren't just decorations. There are some evils that actually must be rooted out of society. And voter fraud is one of those evils. And we have been, I think, braver than most on this topic. And there's this anathema. You weren't allowed to talk about voter fraud for a very, very long time on social media. And I think we've pushed the upper boundaries of that in covering story after story after story after story of voter fraud. And of course, you can find thousands of cases of voter fraud and convictions, voter fraud ending in criminal convictions in massive databases like this one. Not only is voter fraud regular and normal in American elections, it ends in a bunch of people going to prison. This is just how it works, okay? Yeah, and it shouldn't work that way. Dumb people, evil people do evil things. Many have different motivations. But the motivation is ultimately to stop something like this from happening if you are a Kamala Harris supporter. So expect shenanigans. Here, ladies and gentlemen, is the Real Clear Politics most likely outcome on election day.
Let's go.
Listen, dude, no level of voter fraud that I've ever seen would be able to stop this. You know,
Come on,
be able to
Virginia.
prevent this. But that doesn't mean it's not happening. And it doesn't mean that this shouldn't be something that we should be deadly serious about. Okay. This is a monster and it is real. Part of the psyop is having you believe that there's no such thing as voter fraud, man. We have covered every single story that comes across our wire of voter fraud that we can to make sure that we hammer home, yes, there is literal voter fraud happening all the time in America, and it needs to be dealt with, and people need to be severely punished for it. This needs to be a crime that we don't allow, along with a lot of other crimes. Here we go. Now, for the first really big story about voter fraud in the lead up to the election, from a swing state in Pennsylvania, of course, in a very important county in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania County finds 2,500 suspected fraudulent voter registrations as state election officials investigate. Oh, no. Oh, no. If they found 2,500, what does that mean there actually are? 250,000? Let's have a read. A criminal investigation has been launched after thousands of suspected fraudulent voter registrations were discovered in a swing state of Pennsylvania. The Lancaster County Board of Elections announced Friday that staff members identified 2,500 suspected fraudulent voter registration applications which had been dropped off at the election office. Oh, so you just dropped off 2,500 applications. Some had false names, suspicious handwriting, questionable signatures, incorrect addresses, and other problematic details. Two other Pennsylvania counties received similar.
Yeah, we covered this. All right.
Were notified.
I didn't know if he
Lancaster
covered the same
County
stuff we did.
District Attorney Heather Adams said in a news conference.
I'll speed through it.
She declined to name the other counties. Uh-oh.
Is this the whole thing? All right, we'll speed that up.
Federal charges that are dropping for.
Let's see. Hold on. We got it. 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 Let's go. You can do it, YouTube. It's okay. You can catch up. It's all right.
Up like in Democrat states, in Massachusetts, where people are like, that's not my vote. That's not my ballot. Somebody fraudulently did that.
Massachusetts.
In
okay.
Arizona. So like these are federal charges. There are federal charges that are dropping for voter fraud. In Ohio, dozens of people were charged with voter fraud. You got to keep a harsh eye on this stuff. Donald Trump saying, cease and desist. I, together with many legal and attorney scholars, are watching the sanctity of the election.
Nice.
Very closely, because I know better than most the rampant cheating and skullduggery that's taken place in the Democrat Party. It was a disgrace to our nation. Therefore, in 2024, where votes are just starting to be cast under the consent and professional scrutiny,
on top of it,
those people that cheated will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. This will include long-term prison sentences.
He's wearing a
so
winning
the depravity
button.
of the justice will not be done again. We cannot let our country further dissolve into a third world nation, and we won't. Please be aware that this legal exposure extends to lawyers, political operatives, donors, illegal voters, corrupt election officials. Those involved in unscrupulous behavior will be sought out, caught, prosecuted at every level as never before seen in our country. We need to send this. You need to send this. You need to send that once a day. People must be jailed for this. Who's doing this? Bro, if you have somebody's social security number and address, driver's license number, all this information that's like personal information that you need to register to vote, and those voters say, I didn't give anyone that, I didn't authorize that,
yep,
alert
put them in jail.
And what actually happened. The Board of Election staff members identified and contained incidences of voter registration fraud, election staff and district attorneys, and that
Lancaster,
hopefully, and that you need to keep your head on a swivel, and you must always push your
election
state
fraud
legislatures
cases
to pass harsher, stricter penalties for election fraud and protections against the actual election itself. I'm really happy with the system they have here in Florida. I'm going to go early vote later today.
Okay, so we covered,
and then I'm going to be able to track my ballot and see that my vote counted
earlier today.
And then that's how Florida is able to give you a result at 9 p.m. on election night. Boom, like that. No funny business, no shenanigans. Change.
And he was hilarious. Thanks, Benny. He was hilarious at the Duluth rally. So brought him back in for a special appearance. Probably have him on some good news of the week or something this weekend. All right. We're all on the same team here. It's important that we keep it that way. We support those who are doing the good work. It's a lot of stuff out there, a lot of takes. And, we won't always agree on everything, but let's agree on one thing. And that's what we need to win in 2024. We need to stop this globalist takeover of our country. We need to seal the border up, fix this corruption inside of our country. We need to make America great again. I mean, we need to make it great again on so many levels. That terminology goes so deep now. It's not just a catchphrase. It's really a mission is what it is. And we're all part of it. Is it coincidental that the exact same thing we saw in 2020 is already being seen again? Yeah. I mean, coincidental, huh? Right. And man, I'm just glad they're on top of it. Remember, I was talking about, it's like, if they're not on top of this, I've been kind of like, I hope that they're really ready for this, because if they don't, they're going to do the same tricks. That's the thing about the corrupt establishment. They always go back to the well. I mean, they only have so many tricks in their bag, right? But the thing about it is like, they try all these tricks to manufacture consent, right? To manufacture wins, to manufacture any reason to stay in power. But what happens when they run out of tricks? That's the thing. That's why we have to win. We have to beat them before they run out of tricks, right? To beat them before they start pulling levers, because like most psychopaths, they'll burn the place down before they give it up, and that's what I'm worried about. But I think we're far enough ahead right now, and they're cocky enough to believe and arrogant enough to believe they're going to get away with some shit. So that's our saving grace. And by the way, the stream's already yellowed for some reason. I have no idea why, but I just want to thank everybody again who supports the channel, because there's no way that this channel would be supplemented by any kind of ad revenue from YouTube ever. And I do appreciate it. Remember that the links in here, I'll throw these links over to Rumble. I meant to do that earlier. To the documentary Line in the Sand is both still live on YouTube and X, and then there's the BitChute documentary only link as well. It's in the description of the YouTube stream that's listed right there. So you go to the Line in the Sand YouTube stream, and the BitChute link is there if you just want the documentary only. Let's see, do I have that handy? I don't think I do. All right. Well, anyways, oh wait, hold on. I do have it handy. Here it is. And here's the documentary only. This is the one you could send out to relatives or anybody else that may not, it'll skip the whole stream part. You won't get the Muckraker documentary at the end, but once they watch it and they get interested, you'll be like, well, here's the Muckraker documentary, and this will explain to you how they get from El Salvador all the way to the border, and how the UN's helping them. Like, we have to unveil who the bad guys are slowly but surely. There we go. Yeah. Slowly but surely, and people will get it. So once you get that moment of clarity, they're going to be ready to learn the whole picture. And when people figure out they've been lied to and scammed and abused with information, they become some of the most powerful allies we can possibly have. In fact, you're looking at a room full of them right here. We're prime examples of people that have waken up to the fact of what's going on in this world. We see the truth of what's going on, and we're ready to do something about it. That's why we show up. That's why we do what we do. That's why we continue to learn and grow and make sure we get the job done. We have the right people to do it. Drunk Kamala and the Democrat terrorists. I'm gonna look at some of these other interesting things that are out there. Thank you, David Durkett, for following me over on X. Thank you, White Elegant Home Builders, for following me on X. Getting a bunch of X followers right now. Thank you, CXC, for following me over on X. I'll follow you back. In case you didn't know, we broke the 1,000 mark on X. We are over we're 1,119 right now, so we're doing good. We're on our way to 1,200. I think that's right. Yeah, I can't remember what it was earlier, but yeah, we're jamming. We're jamming, and we're standing pat there over there on Rumble. And we're still doing great here on YouTube. But hey, man, that documentary is key. It's where the good work is at, and that's what we're gonna do. Now, let me check real quick to see if whoa, what is that weird thing here? Is there anybody? Okay. Well, I can't see. And Indy doesn't have her thing turned on. I'd send people over there. But she doesn't have her redirect turned on. Let's see. No. All right. Well, there we have it, guys. Thank you so much for being here tonight. I'm gonna go ahead and what is Joe always say? You can steer the ship in or something. Not a coincidence, Wolfram. No, they're gonna try, but this time, I hope they pay for it. See, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. They're not gonna fool us twice, right? No way, Jose. Not this time. And I like to see a lot of people get prosecuted and pay for it. Because a lot of those people that will get caught were probably part of it in 2020. That's the way it works. So hopefully that'll take care of business. That'll take care of business. That'll get us justice for that 2020 thing too at the same time. Plus, we got this great new team together, this great new Trump Avengers team ready to save America. Bring it into the port. Is that what he says? How does he say it? I'm going to bring it into the port. All right, guys. Thank you so much for being here this evening for Winning 2024. I will be back tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern for Winning Saturday Night. Wow, the good news of the week, man. Cool videos, lots of cool videos. I've been stacking up the cool videos and the funny videos as well. Lots of good news to come. And we're gonna keep our eye out for the Rogan Trump interview. That's as soon as I figure out when it is, the show will go up for that. If it's a Winning Saturday Night, then that'll be the primary thing that we do. I think it's like 3 hours. Is it like it's like hold on? Let me take a look at Spotify. Spotify's like what? These episodes are like 2 hours and 30 minutes, 2 hours and 50 minutes. I wonder how long they'll go for. What do you guys, any guesses before we go? Like, how long do you think they'll go for? Any guesses? You think Trump will do 3 hours with Joe Rogan? I mean, you know how these things go with Joe Rogan, right? We can talk a little bit about Joe Rogan for a second. He has these epiphanies as he's talking to people. Like, and he'll ask questions most people won't ask, and he'll call things out. He'll try to, he's good about that, That's sometimes where his lack of bigger understanding on things kind of comes in handy because he's willing to try to figure it out right on the spot. Holy crap, that's a big owl. You know what I'm saying? What do you guys think? How long do you think it'll go? What kind of questions do you think he'll ask him? Thanks. Yeah, I'm almost out of here. Any last minute inputs on those? Last minute inputs? All right. Well, let me know tomorrow night. Hopefully we figure it out, and we'll have it here for you guys live, or well, not quite live. We're gonna be watching it together. Let's put it that way. We're gonna watch it together. That's what we're gonna do. All right, last chance, Gary. No. All right, no redirects. We're out of here, guys. Thank you so much for being here. I'll see you tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern for Winning Saturday Night. And until that time, everybody stay based, get active, vote, bring somebody else to vote with you, share a line in the sand, and keep on winning.
From the wackos on the left to the MAGAs on the right, they know I'm beating Kamala. This race won't even be tied. Her policies are nutso. She's out her goddamn mind. She just repeats the same thing, regurgitating her lines. She thinks that immigration without paperwork is good. Clearly not too much power underneath Kamala's hood. Borders are, it's what you are. Borders are, borders are. Cackling Kamala, you're dumb. Mass inflation imminent if she weasels herself in. If that don't sound like fun to you, then you better help me win. I promise I'll secure you, you'll be in better hands. It'd be a flippin' free-for-all with what Kamala plans. Borders are, it's what you are. Borders are, borders are. Laugh it up, Kamala. This lady, she's cackling crazy.
This